A 1 2, 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 a 1 2. We are back, man. I want to make sure a couple of things. Sorry for the lateness, gang. I was having a couple of technical difficulties. As you can see, I had to use my laptop camera. So bear with me a second. We're gonna get everything figured out. We got a lot planned for today. Big salute to the people who are popping up on Instagram right now. If you see me live, then you know what is up. We are live on YouTube. We are live on Facebook. I think we're live on Twitch right now as well. I got a special interview that's popping off as well. So look out for that. That's going to be coming up probably in the next 15 to maybe 20 minutes tops. I want to cover some topics as well. So just bear with me a second. I want to just make sure that my mic is sounding good. For the people on Instagram, youtube.com/welovehiphop network. We are busy out here, man. Impromptu Sunday live. Hold on. Okay, good. Audio sounds good. Big salute to the comment gang. Comment gang strong. Let yourself be seen. Who's over here? Old John Crow Track Star, 416 Track Star Music's been in the building from early. Salute. All in is in the building. Easy Effected in the building. Keep 6 real or K6 real in the building. Young Money in the building. Who else is over here? Main 1, 2 Swole for you. Pause. We got a lot of people. Let's just do this and let's announce everything that we got going on over here. I'm opening up some screens because I had to restart my laptop a couple of times. So let me just open up a couple of screens, let y'all know what we got. Just as far as just some topics that I want to cover. The top 5 trolling K Money at the WWE match. We'll get into that just a little bit, not a long segment. Drake is back home in Toronto, and he was also at that WWE match last night. Big match that happened over here in Toronto. And we're also going to get into the Drake dropping the Payola lawsuit versus iHeart Radio. I got a special guest that's going to be popping up very soon. We have Curtis King from his channel over there, the Curtis King channel over there in the California. I was about to say the West Coast, not just the West Coast. West Coast is pretty big. But over there in California, he's been doing his thing. He's one of the people who's been joining me on the Culture United panels. Big salute to Justin Hunt, a.k.a. the company man. So we're going to be having a conversation on this platform over here. There's been a few things, obviously, that's prompted the conversation in regards to, some of my comments that I had on Twitter, some of my comments that I've had on these live streams here in regards to my feelings about, just the whole not like us and all that type of stuff and how I felt it was very divisive. So I definitely want to get into having a conversation with him about his thoughts on that. He made a pretty good video about that. Let me turn off my other camera here. Give me a second. He made a pretty good video about my reaction and, the difference in the energy that I had in comparison to the way I was on the panel. So we'll have a civil discussion about that over here on the network. So look out for that real soon. For the people on Instagram, we are live right now, youtube.com/welovehiphop network. Let's go. All right. Also, I want to give a quick salute to the sponsors before we even get into anything. Big salute to Can of Cans. Also, Diamond Club. Diamond Club is the carrier of Can of Cans. I got a can right here. Bong. Okay. They got delivery of the freshest loud across Canada. Same day in the GTA. Hit them up on their Instagram page, CannaCans_Canada1. You could also find them on the other Instagram page, Diamond Club_Canada1. And use the code We Love Hip Hop. Let them know you get, we sent you, get a little discount. Also, for if you want some of that blem, hit up Steamin' Hot Grabber. Okay, Steamin' Hot Grabber has the hottest grabber in the GTA. Okay, hit them up on their Instagram page, Steamin' Hot Grabber, if y'all want some delivery. And use the code We Love Hip Hop when you go to their website, and you get a fat discount. Last but not least, big salute to my people over there in Ottawa. If you want some of the loudest loud in Ottawa, some of the loudest loud in Canada, period, hit up Only Loud. Okay, they got same day delivery in Ottawa, same day delivery in the GTA. They got their own blend as well as a bunch of different popular blends under their umbrella. Hit them up on their Instagram page, Only Loud Canada, or you could also find them on Snapchat, onlyloud.ca. All right. Can we get a quick topic in before our guests join the panel here or join the conversation? I want to get into what's going on with something local. All right. Last night there was an event over here in Toronto. Big salute to the WWE. I don't know who's running it. I haven't been tapped into wrestling for a long time, specifically WWE. Like, I was a huge fan when I was younger. Not even when I was younger, all the way until in my 30s and stuff like that. I was a huge fan. But somewhere around the end of the Attitude Era, if I'm not mistaken, I kind of started falling off. So let's see if I can pull up some of the stuff that was happening over there. All right. And we'll get into it. Top 5 was over there causing trouble. Let me make sure that I go on my page before I just let Twitter just float willy-nilly in this bitch. Let's see what I could find here. Here we go.
We're here, man. Elimination in the chamber, man. Belt to ass. Yo, K-Money, we're here, man. Elimination in the chamber, man. Belt to ass.
All right, so he's over at the match. He's poking fun at K-Money. I guess the last time, and I don't know if he wasn't there, or from what was reported, he wasn't there at the fight that was happening. But the last time that, his crew and K-Money had any kind of interactions was at the Raptors game, which, gang, is that in the same place? I know the Raptors, they play at the ACC or the Scotiabank Arena, what they call it now. But as far as where the wrestling is at that at the Scotiabank Arena, or is that at the Rogers Center? Let me know. Let me open up Instagram as well, because I don't know if that was the last thing that he said, because, and keep in mind, Top 5 is on a curfew. So a lot of these events that he goes to, he's got to do a Cinderella through those events. He's got to go early and then get the hell out of there so he can get home by 10 o'clock. Big salute to Hybrid the 30 says Rogers Center. Okay, is it the Rogers Center? Damn. That means they're packing out the stadium. That's crazy. I knew wrestling is a huge business, but goddamn. Let's see what's going on in this guy's stories. Let's go earlier in the stories. Can I go back? He's got his picture with Gary Grill over here. Lawyer up. Why am I not able to go backward in the stories? Here we go. Here we go.
Man, elimination in the chamber, man. Belt to ass. Carlos. K-Money, belt to ass. The Ferrari truck. Do you know anybody?
You think anybody else has a Ferrari truck, dog?
What's this now? Champagne Poppy. Bundog asked if you have a Ferrari truck fresh off the lot. #$1 million. Jeez.
Fam, respect me. It cost $1 million to be like Bundog, fam.
So there's no rappers in Toronto. There's no rappers in Toronto with the Ferrari truck?
There's no rappers in Toronto that have that car. Go ask your boy. Even ask your boy. No offense. I know he could buy it, but he doesn't have it.
I'm going to ask Jizzy right now. Hold on, I'm going to ask Jizzy.
My guy.
Yeah, listen. Spend a quarter on the boat.
Hold on a second. Man, All In, you rough with it, bro. He said, how long before he goes back to jail? We need to make a bet, or we need a bet. I will not be making that bet with you, sir. But if you guys want to do that amongst yourselves in the comments, feel free. All right. I'm not here to censor anybody or, stop anybody's freedom of speech.
Spent half a ticket on the wrist, and we spent a full ticket on the whip.
Okay.
I'm coming. Let me see if this works.
Yeah, he still doesn't know how to park.
No, I don't even know how to put this in the car.
They didn't know how to open the door.
Hold on. So what is this? $1 million Lamborghini or Ferrari truck? It looks like a regular car, not a regular car, but it looks like a regular Ferrari to me, if there is such thing as a regular Ferrari. But Ferrari truck, hey. Yo, man, I don't know what these guys are gonna do about this beef here. It's become to the point where, I guess because of also the interview that happened the other day, and salute to everybody who's tapped into that K Money interview so far. I'm gonna pull it up right now. I guess based on some of the words that he said in the interview, that's just helped, I guess, to keep the shit going. All right. Cringe role play games wants to know which West Coast guest. I'm going to change the title just now. I got Curtis King pulling up just now. Let me pull up this video here from K Money. Time stamped. Let's go to here. Get back to the show. Yeah. And then all of a sudden he started posting the shit with the quote unquote paperwork. You know what I'm saying? Be right back.
Toronto, bro. It's just a competition, bro.
In a minute.
We're in Toronto. It's crabs in a bucket. Nobody wants to see nobody winning. If a next nigga sees a next nigga doing good, he's gonna do whatever, say whatever, even if it's not true, to make that nigga look away or make that nigga fall off, bro. It's crabs in a bucket. Competition, solid is, bro. It was never no real poly with anybody. You know what I'm trying to say? I didn't even bring up this, mind you, but whatever. It's not even no. Wasn't even no real party where anybody was niggas hating on music shit, niggas hating on clothes shit, niggas wanted more clothes than the next nigga. You know what I'm trying to say? Whole shit, straight whole shit.
So can we clear up this quote unquote paperwork, because it was supposed to be some, I guess, conversation that you're having with the CEOs and shit that they're saying.
My nigga, that paperwork is fake. That paperwork is cap. I said that how many times?
Yes.
You know what I'm trying to say? When this shit first came out, I have media training. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, I'm not stupid, bro. I have a 6-figure deal on the table right now. Not right now. Like, at this time, when this shit came out, I have a 6-figure deal on the table. So you think I'm going to be putting my energy and shedding light onto a smear campaign?
And as far as the 6-figure deal, he says, and this is also in the same interview, he said he got a 6-figure deal for one album going on.
And crashing out on Instagram and then making these label people be like, yo,
what's the thumbnail right now, gang?
What's this guy on right now? What's this guy talking about? You know what I'm trying to say? So I put that one little video out there, like, yeah, I see you fake niggas running with this fake shit. You know what I'm trying to say? Boom. I didn't even care to keep on talking about it and shit. I was just in negotiations with the label. The paperwork shit. Like, you know, on the label, I didn't know it takes so long to process shit. It takes so long with the lawyers and all that shit. I'm trying to just get this 6 figures. I'm like, yo, this is all I'm focused on. I don't give a fuck about dropping independently right now if I got this 6 figures on the table. You know what I'm trying to say? But boom, that shit takes long as hell though. I didn't even know that. But yeah, I was just waiting for that. And then boom, this Mayu goes and he touches road or whatever. He goes on academics and starts talking about me again. You know what I'm trying to say? But he didn't even bring up me. Like, a next fan came on the stream, some UK fan or some shit came on the stream.
Yeah.
And then he started talking about us.
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
He started bringing up our name on academics and Aiden Ross. You can't ever hide greatness. You know what I'm trying to say? You could try not to say niggas' names, but coincidentally, our fan is just gonna come on the shit and say our names. You know what I'm trying to say? Get us that light, get us popping. Like, this guy decides to go.
So from what this guy's saying, from what K Money's saying, that this never started from anything serious. It was just, I guess, jealousy from his side of the story. Hopefully we can get top 5 in here eventually. I have spoken to him behind the scenes. I'm not gonna lie, but as far as getting him on an interview, maybe we can get him in soon and get his side of the story and everything else that he got going on.
Right. See whatever he says. Talk about people getting molested, but you already
He's not
know,
off the table.
Yo, we already know in the city who molests their ops when they catch their ops. You know what I'm trying to say? So these niggas are on some weird gay shit, but we're not even gonna talk about that. But yeah, this nigga just went over there and started saying whatever he was saying and shit. So then that's when I was like, okay, I already got the deal. Whatever, I'm gonna say my piece on this. You know what I'm trying to say? So I dropped like a 2-minute video just explaining, like, yo, my nigga, nobody has this paperwork. Whose word are we going off of? We're seeing
Yeah, and then he gets into the paperwork stuff, and you know, for the people who do know about this whole story, there was a set of paperwork that came out, wow, maybe about 6 months ago now, And on said paperwork, it was paperwork from inside of the detention center that he was at. It was saying that it was protection paperwork. You know, he was asking the guards to keep him away from certain rappers and certain gang members. The authenticity of the paperwork, he's denied it. A lot of people online have been like agreeing with him as well, but a lot of people, you know, his detractors and just people online, people are like, nah, bro, that shit is real. You a rat, blah, 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 blah. But I don't know. I don't know why this story has come to par, because once upon a time, Casper, who's K Money's older brother, and Top 5 were making tunes together. One of their biggest tunes, as far as both of their catalogs, would be a song Freeze. Is that song still up? Casper, TNG, Freeze. Yeah, Freeze featuring Top 5. 7.4 million views. I'm not gonna freaking play the song and get copyright, but we'll play a little.
I just dashed, got a big stick on me. Want that?
All right. These guys, once upon a time, were cool. So, listen, gang, I don't want to be a pessimist, but this ain't going to get resolved anytime soon. Once you guys get to putting hands on each other and body slamming each other and doing all kind of WWE shit over there in public places, and a bunch of civilians walking back and forth, and embarrassment happens online, you know, let's hope that these guys keep far away from each other. It's not that easy when you're a popular rapper and, you know, these guys are booking tours and stuff as far as K Money and Casper, but hopefully these guys are able to keep the peace, and maybe in the future we can see a Freeze Part 2 or some kind of collaboration between these guys, because they're better together than apart. All of these guys have gotten a bunch of fans, a bunch of music video views, bunch of streams on all streaming platforms, and they're part of that generation of Toronto rappers that would be the heyday of the underground scene. They're getting older. We got an episode that's out right now. Actually, it's not out now. It's going to be dropping tomorrow. And the title of the episode is, what did I name this shit again? The YNs are unks now. Because a lot of these guys who are YNs, or what people consider YN, young niggas, it used to be, for me, somebody who's like 25, 26, that's a YN. But a lot of these guys are 26, 27, some of them are 30. Mula First just got arrested the other day. They released his age. He's 30 years old. For some of these young fans out there, like if you're a 17-year-old, 18-year-old fan, that's unk. That's unk now. So a lot of these quote-unquote YNs who are running around still having YN activity, they might have to reconsider their life, because y'all niggas is starting to get old. They call me an old head, but just remember, there's some 18-year-old that's calling Top 5 and K Money old heads right now. Right? Young Money said 30 isn't even old. I know. But when you were 17 and a man came up to you and said, yo, listen, little man, what are you dealing with? And you said, yo, how old are you? And the man said 30. You said, yo, bro, wow, you're crazy old. Like as if the guy is on a walker with gray hair already. Like, but it's all about perspective. Anyhow, we'll leave it there. I'm going to bring in my guest right now. Let's bring in the guest over here first before I give him a grand introduction. 1 2 1 2. Let's get a mic check from you, sir.
1 2 1 2.
Perfect. So I want to introduce my brother in grand fashion over here. We've done about 3 panels together on the Culture United panel over on the Company Man's channel. Big salute to Justin Hunt. This gentleman is beyond just a content creator who's a do-it-yourself type of person. Like, he's teaching about production. He's teaching about engineering. Some of the best sound as far as over here on YouTube. This gentleman right here, rapper, producer for the likes of Glasses Malone, Ab Soul, the list goes on.
Kendrick Lamar.
Kendrick Lamar. We have Curtis King in the motherfucking building. Welcome, 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 sir.
Appreciate you having me.
No, thank you, man. And I felt it was necessary for us to have this conversation. I saw the video that you made. What was it? Maybe about a week or so ago.
Right.
All right, and it was based on, and I explained to the audience earlier about my tweet and all that, and people have been tapped in, like they see my rants over here. All right. Can we talk about maybe some of the discrepancies that you had with my videos and the tweet?
Right.
Let's start with the video. Let's start with the energy thing, because that was a big point of contention. The change of energy that I had with DJ Head in comparison to the live stream that I had later on.
Right. So starting there, first of all, like I said, I appreciate you having me on the platform. As somebody who believes in seeing balanced media exists, as somebody who believes that whatever it is that you stand for, whatever it is that you rep, I want you to have the ability to do that. Because if you have the ability to do that, then I have the ability to do that. Mm-hmm. So I'm glad for balance. I'm glad for all of these things. With that said, when Culture Night happens, when this meeting of the minds happens, it's a platform that Justin created so that we could have conversations that are a lot more productive than sometimes that happen in the music, more so the rap industry, right? It's an opportunity for us to have an opposing view with one another, but express that in the moment. And wherever it goes, but it's going to always be something that's civil. And as men to men, we'll be able to have these conversations and then walk away from it, understanding that we were able to express that and move forward.
Yeah.
From my understanding, after we had that conversation, and we have our pre-talks and then we have our post-talks when the thing is not live. It seemed like everybody in there, from my understanding, was happy with the way that the stream went. I know I definitely was. I was glad that we had our debates because it makes for good TV or good for, YouTube, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And from what I saw, I thought everything had been hashed out and said in public. My first initial issue, and it's funny because I didn't even see it myself. Somebody had to bring it to my attention. They say, "Yo, what's going on with Friday?" Oh, I see old dirty boy. What's Dirts in here? Hey. Good to be in the presence of vultures. When I saw you pop up afterwards, and it's funny because your name is literally "What's the Dirt," and you want to talk about. Never mind.
Let's stay focused.
I'm gonna stay focused, but I think it's funny. It's funny how he wants to play both sides of it. Your name is literally "What's the Dirt," boy. Calm down. But in going back to the conversation that we have, you made a 180. You made a 180 that felt a lot more aggressive than anything that was expressed in that live stream. And as a man, that was something that I can't understand. As a man, it's something I can't stand behind. As a man, I saw that and I said, yo, what is the switch of energy? The first thing that came to my mind was maybe a conversation was had offline that wasn't done in the room. Because I would assume that if there was an issue that warranted the type of energy that you had in that video, which was very aggressive, I would assume that energy would have been brought up in the conversation, in the public eye. What I didn't also expect, especially with you seem to be a straight shooter, from at least my perception, was that you said the things that you said and you didn't tag DJ Head, you hashtagged him, but then you tagged Kendrick Lamar, who's never online. I just look at that and I'm like, had it been anybody else, I'm like, no, that's cowardly. That's not the way we act as men. Like, that's not but I understand we're in a different world and the media is a different space. So when I saw all this play out, with respect to you, I've had people help me to understand how important you are to your region. Justin was a part of that. And the thing is, I don't have to agree with you on music to respect your stance and where you are. I want to hope for the best. But the reality of it is, I don't know you. You don't know me.
True. And
I want to make sure that I always let people get an opportunity to speak for themselves. What I saw when it seemed like you were speaking for yourself, it had me confused first. But then the more that I dug into it, and you saw the video that I put out, it was never malicious intent. I don't never go calling nobody out their name unless they deserve it. And you know, that's just kind of where I led it initially, but that's my thing. Like, I feel like, I know you don't know DJ Head, but I've known DJ Head my whole career.
Yeah.
And he's not somebody that's gonna bite his tongue on anything. So if he really was trying to like press you or say the things that you said that he was saying, he would have just said the thing. Right? Because the truth of the matter is, he's more brutal than he was in that conversation with West Coast artists. I've seen him in studios. I've seen him go in on an artist, and I'm like, damn, I don't know how this is going to end up. And they just say, you know what? I know you say that because you give a damn. So I don't know, man. The energy just didn't add up. And so, you know, I'm admittedly West Coast biased. I'm gonna always be that way. And that's just where I came up. I think that we need to stop acting like bias is something that is not supposed to be our responsibility. Your traditional media is biased because there's somebody in their pocket with special interest giving you the news that they choose to give you, ignoring the news that they choose not to give you. The goal is not unbiased media. The goal is balanced media. And so that's just the way that I read that whole situation.
Well, let me respond to a couple of things here. So as far as the energy change, let's call it. I don't want to call it an energy change because the energy that I had when I was in the room, I didn't feel that way as far as the different statements that I was, you know, kind of perturbed about, you know, as far as, you know, the way he was asking about trigger words. That was the main part of the conversation that had me on the live, right? The trigger words and how maybe I wasn't in the understanding of trigger words. And he kind of put it around the panel where he was like, yo, Wayno, you know how it is. You know, New York got your things. And the way he was explaining it to me, I felt in hindsight, little bro. At the time when I'm there in the live stream, to be honest, I didn't feel anything. I was just listening, making sure that I'm listening properly and waiting to respond with my response to stuff. And even post when we were having the conversations in the room after the live was done, I didn't have any like ill feelings like, damn, bro, that was kind of wild on that live stream, bro. Like, how could you lil bro me? It really only happened once I was watching back the live stream with the audience here in real time and watching the conversation. And then I started realizing or seeing things that I felt were subtle, little bro, not jabs, but little broing. Okay.
This was on, if you don't mind me asking, this was on your own that you were looking back at these things and you felt that way personally, or did someone share that a different perspective could exist?
No, this is not even on my own. This is on live stream. Okay. Right. I watched, even when I watched back the clip on my own, just here, you know, just watching it on my TV, I didn't feel anything either, but I didn't watch the whole thing. But when I got on the live stream and then we started reacting to the conversation on the live stream, then I started saying, why would you even ask me or try to break it down, the whole trigger words thing? I feel like everybody understands trigger words, or when it's up, it's up. So for the way he was explaining to me, I felt like he was explaining it to me like I'm a layman. He was putting it in layman terms. Because if Wayno could understand it, why can't I understand it? The only other conclusion I can come to is because I'm not American, and up here in Canada we're soft, so we don't play by the same rules.
Right. Well, I'll say this: I do think that there's a different understanding amongst Black Americans, U.S. Black Americans. I do think there's a different understanding of just region. And this is not me trying to make it an anti-Canadian conversation. This is not what this is. You wouldn't believe the amount of Black Canadians that have reached out to me in the last 2 weeks that want me to understand a more balanced point of view. I think that there are people on the internet that are the loudest.
Right.
And then there are people who don't have a presence on the internet that are still having a very Black experience in Canada. I wanted to get to know what those were. I had a spoken word artist that reached out to me. I had the gentleman that you used to work with reach out to me. And it's good to see that exists, because then we start to have the conversation of, what are these shared experiences?
Right.
The thing with Wayno is that, one, they have a rapport. Right. They have a rapport, first of all. So they've had these conversations, I'm sure, in private before. So I don't think it's more so of a keeping you out of the conversation type of thing. I think it's more so an understanding because they've already had an understanding.
Right.
When I saw you read that deeply into it, I forget the words that you use, but like when this pussy or Canadian something, you said a bunch of shit that I'm like, I don't think you realize by now you should know the West Coast is very direct. And if that's what you want to call somebody, you're not gonna go on a roundabout way because you understand the ramifications and the type of energy that come with it. You don't pussyfoot around that. You say that. And I've seen DJ Head in situations where he said that. So what I felt like was after we got out of that environment, and if you remember it, like Friday, I gave you props at the end of that conversation. I said, man, I salute you for coming into the Lion's Den where there's obviously people who don't necessarily agree with the majority of your stances, but we still give you the respect because we're in the same room. And I said, man, I got to show love because even though I don't agree, I do appreciate you standing on 10 for it. But then to see that energy elevated in the next space, that's just the way that I read it. Because I was like, you clapping your hands, your voice is raising, you're a little bit louder than what you was in that conversation. And from what I understood, it was you being respectful of the platform. And, that's commendable. But at the same time, if an issue is an issue, it's got to be raised right then and there. Yeah. And not for these people's public fodder, not for they public entertainment. Yeah. I'm not saying you did it for that, but I'm saying they're the ones that get to enjoy this when that should have been, to me, a private conversation with Ed or with Justin at the least.
Well, like I said, I didn't have that energy in the moment, and it wasn't an energy change. It was something that I didn't realize until maybe a week later, because that's when I actually did the live stream, right? What also I had an issue with when I was watching the live stream that made me come to that realization, which you're not the only person who said I was wrong about that realization, right? I've spoken to a few other people that said, you know what, you're reading a little bit too deep into it, Friday, relax. And I respect that, you know what I'm saying? But it was the Too Short test. That's where I was like, well, why wouldn't I know that? Not only do I have a hip hop platform, I'm almost 50 years old. So I think I know what the Too Short, I know Too Short's bars. I was there when he first dropped it, when Life is Too Short first dropped. I'm not even talking about the one that everybody knows him for now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but why do you take that as that instead of him just having a hip hop roll call, right? If I say Cream, we know that's Cash Rules Everything Around Me.
Yes.
If anything, it's almost like there's a difference between, it's like in high school. You see, or for me in high school, when you see somebody wearing a certain shirt, the first question you got is name 3 songs by that artist. Like what you really know about that artist, kind of like it's hip hop roll call. If it's something that is not an issue, you just answer it. Like to me, that's how I read it. I don't think he was calling in your credibility. If anything, I think he was showing possibly a difference in regional focus. Right. So if you are in a place where the majority of your success in your career has been championing the region that you're from, he's just showing that there's a distinct difference in the region that he's from and what he is representing. He could talk for himself. I'm just saying the way that I read it as someone looking back and forth on these things, because I just didn't read it as him trying to mark you out. Like, that's not what I saw that at all.
Well, what if I got it wrong?
It'd take a big man to say that, especially in front of the audience. But
what if he was like, what's my favorite word? And I was like, I don't know, oranges.
That would prove the point. That would prove the point why he was giving you it would prove the point of why he was giving you an educational lesson about the trigger words of being here on the West Coast, and that it's not even about having an education of West Coast terminology. Anybody with a Google can look it up, right? What's the dirt loves going on Reddit and stealing stories? He can do that too. So what I'm saying is, for you in this situation, he's giving you a crash course. You're arguing, I don't need a crash course because I've been around this long enough. He gave you a test, a really quick pop quiz. He said, hey, what's my favorite word? And then you answered the question. Okay, cool. So then we can move forward, and possibly we don't need to have a further education on this. But the way that you reacted to me, from somebody who's, I'm not a gang member. I work with a lot of Crips and a lot of Bloods as a producer and artist. Mm-hmm. I tell you this, from being in these regions, from being a civilian in these regions, there's certain type of energy that means it's up, even if you don't say it's up.
Right.
There's certain type of energy. There's a certain type of clapping and saying whoop-de-whoop and all the things that we say out here. There's a certain type of energy that when you say that, people know what the deal is. And that's what he was giving you an idea of, because if anything, I don't even know if you want me to disclose this. He had the same conversation with Justin at one point. When Justin moved out here from the East Coast, he said, keep to yourself. You know what I mean? Maneuver like this, do it like this, and you should be all right. But these are the codes that even a civilian must know.
Okay. But now if you bring that as an example, excuse me.
Bless you.
If you bring that as an example, Justin might have needed that education because he's coming from the East Coast and now he's in the West Coast. So, you know, let me give you a little bit of education on the landscape. But in the context of our conversation, talking about, hey, Kendrick did a little bit too many Drake songs in the Super Bowl. Well, you might not understand this because you're up there in Canada, is what I got from that conversation. And the line of questioning and the ways that he went around to try to explain it, it's like, why does it have to be so meticulously explained when we're all in a room, we're all in a Culture United panel? So I feel like everybody in that panel should already have a level of education on the game, period.
You can't say that. I heard for the first time in my 40 years on earth, I heard a term that I have never heard a day in my life. Suck your mom. I have never heard that a day in my life.
Right.
So to hear that and say that can get you hurt, that can get you punched in the face, that's probably relevant information that I should be educated on in the event that somebody says that I don't understand how serious of a situation that is. Yeah, yes. We're aware of one another, that there's some things that are transferable in terms of information, but there's obvious boundaries, there's obvious differences, and this is an educational conversation. This is not a you don't know nothing, you just a Canadian. No, this is because of where you're from. I'm going to not only give you this education, but anybody else in here who may need to get this, because if you just look at Kendrick doing what he did and said he's just doing too much, and this is such a I can't stand these rapidy rap. If that's not saying that's your perspective, if you think this is all about Drake still, you don't understand you don't understand West Coast gangbang culture. You don't understand West Coast gangbang, because that right there, you violated me. You overstepped the boundaries when this could have been a friendly fade. You brought my family into it, my manager into it. You called me a domestic abuse. I got a theory. Your guy Drake sat there and watched We Cry Together video because he couldn't get real information and said, mother I. He's, you know what? I think he's a domestic abuser. You can't say those type of things to certain men in certain regions and it be just a rap battle. At that point, I got to violate you. And when I violate you, you don't get to set the boundaries of what that violation is, because like we said, it's up. I'm a civilian. But once you come from my family, it's over for you. It's over for you. And I mean that with every cell in my body. It's over for you. Even at my own expense, it's over for you. So when I look at that and I say, okay, well, this is the directness of the West Coast. Even if you want to put gangbang culture in there, the directness of a West Coast, having ethics as a man, that he did not step over boundaries, even in Euphoria. He didn't go out here and call you this. He didn't do all of that. No. What he did was have a friendly fade, and that's what it was, until it became dance body guys like Whitney. Men don't do that. Men don't have to bring in women to use as tools in battle and war. That's not what you do. Men go to war with men.
Hold up. I left condoms on the baby seat.
And you know what's funny about that? That's when Jay-Z got that call from, I believe, his mom's, and he had to apologize.
Yes, but
so
he went there, and
when you go there, you lose. When you go there, you're already losing. And what I'm saying is not that that's not something that has been done. What I'm saying is, once you go there, you better be prepared for wherever it goes from there, because that's never what the intent of this is, unless we're talking about battle rap. Battle rap is a different beast, because you sign up for these things and they're going to say the most egregious, wildish stuff about you, right? Mm-hmm. In this situation, Drake has been around battle rap. He's sponsored battle rap. He's seen where these things go. But he's also been in that conversation on Rap Radar where he expressed, no, there are boundaries in this. There are boundaries in this. No, Aubrey, you don't get to determine the boundaries in hip hop. You don't get to determine that, because you're not bigger than a program. Nobody is bigger than a program. This has existed before you. It will exist after you. No matter where this lawsuit go, this is a part of this culture. It's a toxic part of the culture. Can't acknowledge that, but it's here. And for somebody to think that they're so big or bigger than the program that they can go in here and shift all that. I'm looking at this right now. Look, you got somebody in here in your chat that's already saying American culture is a joke. This is why explanations are needed. Because if you come in with that energy, if you think it's a joke or not, that could be bad for you.
Listen, there's a reason why that happened, or why those comments are happening. And I'll pull it up. Because there's a reason why those comments are happening. It's this. The tweet. And I'm not saying my tweet is the reason those comments are happening. It's the song. It's a sentiment that a lot of people felt. That song wasn't just for Drake. It was, I'm glad that DeRozan came home. Y'all didn't deserve him neither. So is he talking about O.W.O. didn't deserve him neither, or is he talking about us over here in Canada, over here in Toronto specifically, when you get down to the bare bones of it? Why didn't we deserve him?
First of all, we're having a conversation about O.W.O. Y'all didn't deserve him. That's part of your crew. That's part of your group. Y'all didn't deserve him neither. This is the first thing I'm looking at. We got to talk about all of the people that he talked about outside of Drake in that song. He talked about Party Next Door. He talked about Bach. He talked about a few different people having to do with the crew, which led up to the infamous line, certified lover boy, certified PDFs,
right?
With a plural, right? This is all addressing the entire group of people that are not like us. My question is this: if it's so divisive, then why was it the #1 song for 2 days in Canada?
Because there's a lot of people in Canada who are not pro Drake. Not everybody over here is a Drake fan. There's people in the chat who hate Drake shit. And
okay, so
and for me personally, like when I go and do my hostings at shows and stuff, right? I do a lot of hostings at underground hip hop shows like Stove God Cooks. The show that I just hosted the other day was whatchamacallit? How am I even forgetting? Onyx.
Right.
They ain't playing Drake at those places. I'll even give you one further. When the battle first started going down, and I started asking people in the crowd, and this is when Push-Ups and I think Kendrick had dropped Euphoria. I was like, "Who you got in this battle?" And I asked, y'all fucking with Drake? It was like, I asked, "What about Kendrick?" They went crazy. And this is before Not Like Us was even a thought in anybody's mind. So there's a bunch of people who are hardcore hip hop heads that are not Drake fans. The average hardcore or somebody who's really into real shit, somebody who's going to listen to Griselda or something, they're not listening to Drake too.
So to your point, Friday, how can a song be divisive if that division already existed before it existed?
Because they don't feel the same sentiment as maybe somebody who is either a Drake fan or somebody who might even listen a little bit deeper to the lyrics.
I can ask this a different way. If those people who were Griselda hip hop fans that happen to be residents of Toronto, residents of Canada, wherever they're at, right? Vancouver, if they're already saying, I'm on this side of the fence because I like that real shit, whatever they think is real shit.
Right.
My question is, how can a song then come up and then make them say, oh yeah, I am divided from this side? No, they have already made that decision. What I look at with Not Like Us, to me, it felt like it's funny how we always talk about like revolutionary movies, like about the Black Panthers, or we talk about all these different revolutionary about Malcolm X. You know, something that's always in these movies that people overlook, the barbecue cookout. It's not always revolution. No. Sometimes there's a need for celebration. There's a need for us to come together and to just celebrate, us to have a good ass time because it's recharging for the soul. It's connectivity to the culture. And then we go back into war. I look at this whole situation as that song. To me, if you want to look at a more divisive song, the more divisive song to me is Meet the Grams. Because that is a song that I believe that started to create a real divide between Drake and his female fan base. I can break that down for you if need be. But I'm telling you this, Not Like Us is not the problem. Not Like Us is a symptom of a problem that already existed. There have been people that we thought that we were connected to because we're the same skin tone. You know, they say all skin folk and kin folk. We thought because we love hip hop and we are the same skin tone, we thought everybody was on the same side. But you know what this entire battle revealed? People like What's the Dirt. It revealed that there are people out here, and I'm only saying that because he up here firing up, and he need to be worried about all of the bad business dealings he had in the weed industry that we all know about. Careful, man. Chill out. Anyways, it creates people like this where it's like, I don't think he and I have ever been connected. To me, it feels like there's an assumption that we're connected because we both like hip hop. No, that's not it. If he thinks somebody like a company man who's an intelligent black man represents Carlton, we don't vouch for the same hip hop. You and I can't see the same way. We'll never see the same way. Therefore, you're not like us. Even with all them hip hop shirts, you can't be like us. Even counting 37 niggas in a song, you can't be like us because that's not the way we operate. It's a different code. So what I'm saying is this song already exposed what was already there. If anything, it gave people an opportunity to say, wait a minute. Let me look at the folks that I thought were a part of this culture and question it. Wait. Should I be gatekeeping certain things from certain people, not because of them being a different race, but because they don't understand the nuance that matters? The same way that you can't just walk in any sushi restaurant and then jump in there and say, give me the ingredients to all these things. No. There's a protocol. You got to understand. You can't walk in any Italian household and then ask the grandma for her recipe. You're not getting that because there's a protocol. The only time people don't want to talk about a protocol is when it comes to hip hop. And it's unfortunate because a lot of the art form gets diluted. And then a lot of the news gets put in the hands of people who have no fucking business talking about it because they never made this shit a day in their life. You ain't never wrote no verse. You ain't never sat and engineered nothing. Shut up. Nobody care about your ability to count niggas and Google boats and take Reddit posts.
Let's direct the attention away from What's the Dirt, and even from what you're saying to What's the Dirt, and salute to him because like he's over here in Canada, like that's my peoples, you know what I'm saying? However, that with his example with him, I understand you might have a point of contention with him. Does that reflect now on Canada as a whole? Because
no, there are people who are living in California that we're looking at differently. There's a gentleman named Top 5 Troy out here.
Yeah, I've heard of him.
He's been playing a lot. The thing is, there are some people who are contrarians by nature because it gets them views. They will stand on whatever side they can stand on that gets views. They'll even agitate multiple fan bases. There are people in this chat who have agitated the Drake fan base and then the Kendrick fan base. Why? Because at the end of the day, they get to enjoy in the numbers. They get to enjoy in the views. They go criticize one because they know that people are going to dogpile on that. Then they do the other thing. Nobody wants to stand on what they stand on. And that's the problem. The people who are just like that are the people that are the problem. And the thing is, there have been people out here that have existed within hip hop media that have been running that play for the last 15 years. It's done. It's done because people are in a different headspace. They have different requirements. The fans have a different expectation upon who's delivering the thing. People want that authenticity. And if you're authentically some kind of a white supremacist, be that. If you're authentically somebody who thinks that your culture is the only thing that matters, be that. Just stop lying and stepping your foot over the fence and acting like you down for both sides. Nah, we need to be very, very clear so that we can be authentic and love whoever we love for being whoever the hell they are. I don't want to love nobody for what I think they are. I want to know who this is.
Okay, so and listen, well said. I have this up on the screen. This is the lyrics to Euphoria. And I know we're talking about Not Like Us, but I feel like Not Like Us was the icing on the cake to everything that Kendrick was building as a narrative of you Canadian, you Drake, and being Canadian is the reason why we shouldn't even be having this battle. You know what I'm saying? You're not qualified enough. You shouldn't even be in the game. This lyric right here, I'd rather do that than let a Canadian nigga make Pac turn in his grave. Why does that have to be a point said?
Because Tupac is from, I mean, he gets claimed by the Bay Area, he gets claimed by Los Angeles, he gets claimed by the East Coast. First of all, he's a Black American rapper. And to the theme that Kendrick was building this entire battle, we have somebody who has found his way into Baltimore. Thank you for that time, Les. He's also from Baltimore. You're talking about somebody that the entire narrative that Kendrick built from day one was that this guy is finding how to assimilate into different cultures and go and make it seem like he's breaking bread with them, but really what he's doing is he's collecting cultural currency. I'm gonna go down to where you're at. I'm gonna talk to how you talk. I'm gonna say slime, how you say slime. I'm gonna, hey, what y'all playing in Memphis? Hey, let's do a record in Memphis. Let's do it. You know what? I might even bring you on and sign you, and then never put your music out. Like you can't go into Houston and start wearing the barrettes. You can't go. You're still somebody that is outside of this culture, not just because you're from Canada, but because you were from the suburbs in Canada. I've had Canadians tell me that. No, that ain't the real, like Toronto. It can get gully. That ain't the Toronto I grew up in. So now I'm looking at the other, right? The quote unquote other that you're talking about as you don't even understand my point of view as somebody who's going through poverty. That's the first thing, because I don't care if you've been broke in South Africa. I don't care if you've been broke in Florida, broke in California. There are certain things that we're all going to relate to. Matter of fact, I had a conversation one time with a South African producer that said, man, I love that lyric where you were talking about you were tired of putting water inside of your hand soap so you can make it stretch a little bit longer. These are things that connect us. I don't care what the culture is. It's not on anti-Canada. To me, it's like, damn, the colonizer we're talking about just so happens to be a Canadian. I'd rather do all this than let Pac's ring fall in the hands of a Canadian colonizer. Now, if we're talking about somebody like Chaos being in possession of a Tupac ring, do you think that holds the same weight?
I don't know. I think if Kendrick was battling Chaos, he would still say Canadian. And I don't understand why that is a point, why that has to be made as a point.
Because Chaos,
who cares if he's Canadian?
Chaos up and down is hip hop. Chaos up and down is hip hop. And I don't think that conversation gets there, because if he's hip hop, he don't never go into the conversation about talking about the man's wife, about talking about the man's, his business partner being a father of his kids, like all these wild things that he said that still hasn't produced any evidence while they're still asking for evidence for a daughter. That shit is wild to me.
Hypothetical though, not to interrupt you. Hypothetical. But if he did, is Kendrick going to start using Canadian as a slur against him now?
Why? Why would he do that?
Well, let's say he just started violating and doing all the different things that Drake did. Like Chaos just all of a sudden just turned into he started taking low blows. I'm saying hypothetically,
right?
Does the same lyrics still come? Let me ask you this. How dare we have this Canadian have Pac's ring?
Let me ask you this. If the battle was J. Cole and Kendrick, not to interrupt you, I apologize.
Yeah,
but if the battle was between Kendrick and J. Cole, do you think that he would start throwing shots at the Carolinas?
I don't know. This is the question that I
can answer that for you. No, he would not, because the conversation is not about, I don't think the battle would be about whether or not J. Cole is a colonizer. The thing about this is me being from where I'm from and you being from where you're from. There is a big difference in the way that we came up, because look at where your ethics are at. When he did the Control verse, to me, that was the first Not Like Us. I was version 1.1.0. Listen what I mean when I say this. When he did the Control verse, you notice that all the rappers rapped. You notice that Drake was one of the only ones that went on a 4 or 5 interview tour in which he said, "I just don't think that was anything real. I don't like the way that he did this." He talked to Elliott Wilson and said, "You guys are probably not even going to remember this verse in a few years. Like, do you remember how the line starts?" He took it in such a passive aggressive way that he asked ESPN to take down an interview where he attacked Kendrick. It was so bad he attacked Kendrick because of the way. That's not hip hop. Because if you know what time it is, like he said in the verse, you get up and you know what time it is. So I think that the nature of conversations or battles between a Chaos and a Kendrick doesn't lead to him having to say that. I think he's saying that because he's starting to paint a picture. This guy is not like us. And it started with Euphoria.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought it back to this guy, because I feel like if Drake, all those things that he did after the fact of Control, that's a Drake thing. That's not a Toronto man thing. That's not a Canadian. I don't know about the rest of Canada, but I can speak for Toronto and I could speak for Montreal for the most part. A lot of guys ain't gonna hold their tongue. They would have been like, yo, F Kendrick, he can suck his mom and all. They would have said that, and keep that. Don't even cut the tape. Keep that shit. Let him hear that. He needs to know that I got smoke with him. You know what I'm saying? And they would have hit the booth. I know a lot of guys out here who are hungry ass rappers who would have hit the booth right away after Control. So that's a Drake thing. That's not a Canadian thing.
Okay, and I think that this is why I say Meet the Grams was more of a blow to his brand. It was more of a blow to his brand than Not Like Us was. I think Not Like Us is what we're going to remember, but I think that people forget. We react to these things, right? When that song dropped right after Family Matters, it was like you finally got a Drake type song. It's crazy to me that the entire battle we didn't get a whole lot of Drake type songs. And what I mean by that is we don't get the singing hook. We don't get the things that are his actual strengths. We get him trying to give us this version of a battle rapper. Okay, cool. You get Family Matters, which is one of his best songs in this battle. And then you get Meet the Grams. I look at Meet the Grams, and to me, it's showing and exhibiting another level of lyricism in the conversation, one of which being his ability to tell a story. Two, his ability to paint Drake as a avatar of somebody with a gambling addiction, as somebody that doesn't take accountability, as somebody who is not being an active father in some sense, in terms of the song, right? And I believe that the third verse, which people are so convinced is, oh, it's a smoking gun about a kid. No. When I saw women crying at the reaction of listening to that, there are some women that are connecting that particular verse to an avatar of an uncle or a father who was absent in their lives. It's like, damn, you mean this person I've been supporting and listening to might actually have more in common with them than the person that I was dreaming about? That's why I say that one was more damning, which is why I didn't understand why the lawsuit is full of so much Not Like Us. I get it, but I don't get it, because I'm like, there's a lot more shit in there from the Ozempic, like all of these things that are being said. I can't read it that way, Friday. And the thing is, if Drake created a Not Like Us and it united Canada, we got to take that L. We got to, if Drake did, if let's say in an alternative universe, Drake created a Not Like Us song, and then he had all of the Canada OGs coming in, they did the OVO pop out show and brought everybody out. We got to take that L. He found out how to connect the culture. But no, what did your boy do after all of this shit popped off? He went searching for a max win in Australia. Canada needs you more than ever, because you've been the poster child. You're the one responsible now for changing the narrative. Now that this person said these things that they said that you're saying are divisive, shouldn't he be the one here changing that narrative and not at the WWE wrestling events?
Well, he's been connecting with artists, right? He has a full. Here I come.
I know you want to say more. I know you do, because I know there's artists that rock with you. That's like, bro, he could have changed so much out here if he really rocked with like the real ones out here that he should have been, not the ones that are safe for him to align with, because the same kind of politicking exists out here. I'm not making this a Drake Canada thing. It exists out here. Like, gatekeeping was a real thing for some years, and the people that got co-signed weren't the ones that were unsafe. Draco the Ruler is one of those. He got pushed out. So I know it exists, but it's the truth of the matter is influential was influential. That's all I'm getting at.
Well, listen, you're not going to have me in a situation where I'm like, well, Drake does all this, because I've publicly had my issues with the amount that Drake has done as far as with artists and just reaching out and media and different things like that, right? Yeah. So we're not going to have a disagreement there. You know what I'm saying? He has done stuff for some artists, but for the amount of different artists that are out here and the level of talent that we do have, and listen, I'm not trying to make it a Drake pylon. Yeah, we could do it a little bit more support from the boy or the team. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't even have to be signed to OVO or anything like that. Just like shine some light on this crazy spitter and don't even sign him. Just see what happens.
But the thing about it is, and this is how these are my opinions. I'm not trying to put this on you. I think that's hard for a narcissist to do, allegedly. I think that's hard for a narcissist to do. I've known a many narcissists in my lifetime and in this industry. It's hard for a narcissist to platform somebody that is better than them. It's hard for a narcissist to put them in a position to win if that means that you could win bigger than me, right? I want to bring up a point too, and I want to go ahead and piggyback off of what Ace said. Since we're talking about the disrespect that just saying Canadian in that Euphoria song is, can we talk about the disrespect that is rapping like you're trying to get the slaves freed? Can we talk about that in combination also with you had me whipped and chained like American slaves on a SZA song. Why American slaves? Slaves exist everywhere. So when I see these things, Kendrick is very, very, very calculated. When I see this, I'm like, why even when I heard it, I was like, I'm not a Drake fan, but like, yo, that's a wild line. Whipped and chained like American slaves. What are you trying to make a point of by saying that?
Listen, you're not going to get a defense from me with that.
So like, everything that you bring up, like I understand, and I'm not trying to make it seem like you're crazy for having that. I'm just saying there exists another line that the boy said that's like, well, what will make you go with American slaves?
No, that whips
syllable things.
That whips and chains like American slave. That one is a cringe line to me. But I want to know about, and I understand the other line, like rapping like you're trying to get the slaves free. Tell me, just for us and the audience, why that line was such a point of contention. Because you're not the only person who said, like, bro, when you said that, bro, like the gloves already were off. It was before you started mentioning kids and stuff like that. When he said the slaves free, a lot of guys in the state, black people in the States were like, oh, hell no.
Yeah.
Explain to me why, or explain to the audience why.
I think that's another point of contention that I had too, was kind of bringing the FBA family into that conversation. And it's like, I didn't understand why that was, it just felt like such a random shot to everything. But this is what I'll say. It was an issue because this is where you start to see, not because Kendrick said it, but because Drake himself showed you how different he was from you. I think over the last 8 months, no matter what side you're on, I think you can agree there's been a lot of people that have showed very nasty sides of them that happen to exist in the different fan bases, whether it's Kendrick, whether it's the OVO. You've seen a lot of nasty behavior because that's the nature of super fandom. One thing that I thought was really interesting, specifically with some of the OVO bots and whatnot, is things like Harriet Tubman rap, calling Doechii Harriet Tubman rap. Things like trying to bring in MLK and say, yeah, he's just like Kendrick because MLK cheated on his wife. What does MLK got to do with this rap battle right now? Like, that's when you start to see, like, wait a minute. I rock with Drake, but that's a weird line. Like, what do you view me as? Because my question is this. What is the inverse of that line that Drake said? Rapping like you're trying to get the slaves free. So then what are you doing? Rapping like you're trying to keep people enslaved?
You got your sound effect over there.
Common sense. That's just common sense, and it's not reaching. It's common sense. Because then it's like, imagine the people who are rocking with Family Matters, like, oh yeah, this shit right here, he going in like this is so much better than push-ups. And he said rapping like he trying to get the slaves freed. I thought that's what we's all trying to do. Oh, you're not like us. You look like us. You sound like us, no matter what region we're in. But wait a minute. Hey, you one of them? Whatever them is, you one of them? That's how I read it.
Again, I'm going to come to the defense of Canadians. That's not a Canadian thing.
I know you know that, but bro, but you know what's crazy? When you said that,
hold on, before you continue, because what the way you just explained the inverse of it, it's like, oh yeah, like what you, nah, that line don't stick really.
I'm just saying, like, but my questions are not complex questions. My questions about that situation are, my biggest issue with Drake in particular, and I've always given his respect in terms of the talent that he has, right? Because he did generate a lot of income for the music industry. He did platform folks like one of my favorites in Fonte. And I appreciated seeing that conversation happen. period. I'll add to that, it was very, very unfortunate to start see these same media outlets that wanted to champion Drake then say Fonte was taking from him. Like he's trying to sound like Drake. And there's articles you can pull up right now from Google where they got it completely wrong. And then Fonte's going in interviews defending himself, even though the guy just said he was inspired by Fonte. This ends up starting a pattern in which he went from, I appreciate you, I'm just trying to find my way in this game, to now he'll get with an artist like a JB the Block Boy and he'll do a song with him. And the next thing you know, he has a JB the Block Boy type song on his project without JB the Block Boy. Now, he may not have an issue with that, but for some of us, we look at that and say, that's colonizer 101. Once I come break bread with the people, then I take your natural resources and I use it for myself. And I've done it in such a way that you think me taking it from you is doing you a favor because of the look. So I think some of us read that a different way with Drake and the slave line. I'm looking at this and saying, bro, I think that you've also simultaneously, while you've provided a lot of great music for a lot of people, you've also been part of the hypnosis that this generation is under. I also give credit to you for being the reason why R&B singers were without a job for a long time, because of course you being in the leader position, it's not directly your fault, but it's an influence. It's a symptom of the problem. Because of your relevance, because of your popularity, rappers felt like they didn't need singers anymore. So you have a lot of R&B singers that are not out here and rappers who are half-assing their songs with auto-tune. And I have no problem with auto-tune. They just can't fucking sing. So I'm looking at this and I'm like, everybody can't be Drake, but they're trying to be Drake because that's what it seems like the industry is signing and pushing. So this is where it's like the slaves may not necessarily be Black Americans. The slaves may be the folks that you got under hypnosis for all these years, and they're waking the hell up. That's how I read it as well.
Okay, that's an interesting take, man. And listen, I respect it. There's something that when somebody wants to know over here, True Thoughts, he said, Friday, ask about the Rick Ross calling Drake a white boy. What's your thoughts on that? Because, you know, I feel like you and Drake are light-skinned brothers.
No, we're not. we're the same way everything has a spectrum, right? Light skin has a spectrum too. He and I are not the same. We are nowhere near close. Yeah, if you do that, you might get a pair of Jordans that are not authentic, and you might be very, very angry paying thousands of dollars for them, even though they look quite alike. If you do believe that, then you could definitely come to Walmart. I got some Jordans I can sell to you. That Rick Ross situation, I never liked it because I felt like there are people who got into this because of their own ulterior motives. I didn't like that back and forth. I wasn't here for that, right? The same way I didn't like when West Coast representative, The Game, went at Rick Ross. It's like these are such weird proxy wars that don't even need to happen right now. We're here for the big show. And the big show for me first was Kendrick versus J. Cole. I said, oh, that got me excited. Then when he apologized, I said, we're left with Kendrick versus Drake. Is this going to actually be good? They're two very different artists playing two different positions. Yes. Is this going to be good? And then we got so that the Rick Ross, nobody's standing by. Nobody's playing that right now. Like, matter of fact, one thing you'll never hear me say is like, oh, white boy. That wasn't there was nothing tight about that. It was just something that he said that latched on, caught on. It wasn't respectable when he did it, and it wouldn't be respectable if anybody else did it.
So nobody believes that. Nobody's looking at Drake like you a white boy.
They are. I think they are looking at him not just as a white boy specifically, but they're looking at him like he is detached from the Black experience that they are having, without a doubt. I know that they may feel like it's walking around it, but I don't think anybody's trying to take him of his Blackness, but they are saying your Black experience is different from mine, right? If we want to use a TV show, let's use What's the Dirt's favorite TV show that he doesn't know, The Fresh Prince. We talk about Carlton versus Will Smith, or Fresh Prince. Those are two different Black experiences. One doesn't invalidate the other one, but they are different. They are different. Right? Your Black experience out in Canada is very different from mine. None of them get invalidated because of that. But it's like when we start to talk a certain way, I expect you to talk that way no matter where you go. I don't care if you go to late night TV. I don't care if you go on, you know, if you're talking to President Obama, you better be you. You know who didn't do that code switching? Kendrick. You know who did? The well-seasoned actor in Drake. So it's like I look at these type of things and I'm like, this makes me feel like, oh, no. Coming from where I'm from, black folks don't code switch like that, or we might have an issue. Because that means that you might sell me out to the highest bidder. And all of that, my brother, and all of that is out the door, because the moment you get in an environment where, you know, it appeals to the lower you'll sell me out. And that's where unity is important. This is where knowing what page you're on is important. Like, I think, so you just brought it up right now, I think that Drake might have genuinely felt like DeRozan was one of them. DeRozan ain't one of you. DeRozan is from Compton, California. And although he respects Drake and what he's accomplished, and he confided in him, he trusted him to a degree, he knew in the back of his mind, Drake has never had a Compton-like experience.
But one of who? One of the OVO mans or a Toronto man?
Drake and DeMar. Those are two different experiences. Yes, they have reached the highest heights in their particular industry. Very different experiences. And you know who showed he didn't have the same experience? Drake, when he went to the basketball game and started mad dogging the dude in pink berets. If you're going to press somebody in some pink berets in a fur coat and impress a professional athlete at that, you ain't been in Compton, because there's certain things you just are not going to do. Not because Compton's such a badass. No, it's because it has a different set of codes. The same way if I go into Toronto and I don't know that I can't wear a certain Blue Jays hat. I just want to go there because I'm a baseball fan, right? I could wear a Seattle Mariners hat in Seattle, Washington, because I'm a King Griffey Jr. fan. I do it out here, and I might have some 6-0 Crips on my head. So it's like different regions have different types of codes, and you just got to be aware of it, or you will become a casualty in that.
Yeah, and I'm expecting that you're saying this knowing that we have codes up here. Right. You know, some of them intersect and some of them are different. You know what I'm saying? But we do have codes up here. You know what I mean? Again, I'm not going to say, oh, well, Drake's on his own or whatever. But some of those things that, you know, that Kendrick might have been pissed off at, or the American audience might have been pissed off at, I don't look at it as a reflection of how all Toronto mans move.
Neither do I. That's why I've been searching out opportunities to talk with other points of views. Like, I want to talk to people who are indifferent about Drake or Kendrick. Like, what is your experience? If anything, this has made me dive even deeper, which is why I know you had a point of contention about me talking to the Mending podcast, you know, first before I talked to you, because we had conversations about you. But my thing was, damn, this is the first point of view that I hear that I don't have to question whether or not they're compromised. And that's no disrespect to you. It's just because I don't know you, right? I'm getting to know you. We've done 3 United Coaches. We have yet to have one full conversation between. This is the longest you and I have ever talked back and forth, right? So when I saw that, I said, okay, some other perspective. And when you see that other perspective, what happens is that, and I told them this on their interview, I said, you guys talk about there's other artists that deserve the spotlight outside of Drake. Salute. There's other artists outside of Kendrick that deserve a spotlight as well, right? That these one people can only do so much, but they can do something. And I feel like Kendrick did that with GNX. And I'm sure Drake has done things out there. I'm just not familiar with them. What I'm saying is it's not going to be the artists that are going to have to platform them. It's going to have to be the media outlets that do it. It's going to be out the people who say, you know what, I'm going to take the L on views, because even though I know y'all want to hear about Top 5, even though I know you want to hear about Drake, we got to talk about this, because this shit right here is what's really representing the culture in a really valid way. And he got people around him that need to be heard. Like right now, if I'm like, I had this theory. I'm going to just put this out here. If there was an independent artist right now that was hungry enough, the throne is open. The throne is wide the F open. If LaRussell, who's a dominant independent artist in the Bay, if LaRussell was in the Bay and say he was in Toronto, and he's been in Toronto grassroots going out, and he has this thing where he'll go to a restaurant, he'll buy it out for the day, and he'll feed the residents of the Bay of Vallejo for the day. You pay what you want. You only got $2, pay $2 to get a full burrito. If he was in Canada right now, It's wide open. While the boys in Australia, bro, the throne is yours. Because I'm sure that there's people right now who are like, man, this fucking dude is not representing us right. He's making us look bad. He's making it look like we're all like this avatar, and it's not true. So this is what I'm saying is that in the same way the game just needed balance in terms of hip hop in general, I think from an outsider standpoint, I'm seeking it. I am an exception to the rule because I'm in media. I want to see what other perspectives are out there because now I'm intrigued. Because before this battle, my real understanding of Canada was very limited. Admittedly so.
So you weren't tapped into a lot of the artists that we've been had out over here?
Say it again?
You weren't tapped into a lot of the artists that we have over here? Like, you know, give me like maybe 3 to 4 artists that you know from here, outside of the OVO camp or anything connected.
That's the thing about it. Outside of Chaos, outside, like, I don't really know a whole lot. And this is what I'm doing right now as somebody that's in the West Coast that I'm so damn biased, and I am biased for sure. We're all biased. I'm still out here in the name of media, in the name of understanding, like, yo, because I've always wanted to know about that. Here's the big difference that I saw somebody say, and I shared this video, and this is a big thing, and I'm going to get back to your question. I don't want to ignore that. And I do appreciate your time and having an open dialogue in here. When I think about fans of Drake music, and I mean diehard, I mean they listen to the lyrics and say, that's me. In my opinion, they're fans of Drake first, and then hip hop third or fourth, right? They're fans of Drake first because his music talks about him, the women he's dated, his experiences growing up, the people that are just him, really him, and how everything affects him. When you talk about Kendrick, because we're only using it as a contrast, he generally has people who are fans of hip hop first, and because they love hip hop, they love Kendrick. But you could insert any avatar and they would jump behind that. And that's because Kendrick doesn't make this narcissistic soundtrack. He makes it about Compton. He makes it about the region he's from. He makes it about the people that are around him. He makes it about, when you think about dying of thirst, or you're thinking about promise that you will sing about me. He's telling stories about other people. The first time you really got that from Drake, where he legitimately told a story from a different perspective, was tailor-made. That's why it made it such a novelty. He's rapping like Tupac from the perspective of Tupac. Where was this? It was just your music. Give me examples. I would love to hear it.
Drake does a little bit more for the audience than what you're painting it to be, man. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of people who listen to Drake because of his introspectiveness, the way he's very vulnerable. They relate to a lot of the different stories that he talks about himself. They're like, yes, I can relate to that. You know what I'm saying? The heartbreak stuff. You know, a lot of the times he's super open about being a simp, even though he's the guy.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And there's a lot of people who are like that.
You know how those people are? You know what we call them? Fucking narcissists. Me. I'm going to stand on that. Me. It's about my life. It's about me. You know, that's why he goes to Australia and you got people up there with signs talking about, please take care of my marriage. Please take care of my ring. Please take care of my dad. Please take care of my, because it's me. You know why he's not able to sell CDs? Because that requires having an actual diehard fan base that loves the culture first of buying CDs. He has people that want to be seen with the CDs. It's a very big difference. When you make music that is about me, it attracts people who think the world revolves around me. Even when he's talking about drunk texting an ex who's in a different relationship, that is a narcissistic man. That is not your relationship. Move on, buddy.
You're using small parts of his catalog to make these examples, man.
Is that not the avatar that he's built? Is that not his biggest vulnerability during his battle?
In this battle, but we're talking about his the totality of his catalog. He's got way more stuff than that, man, or stuff that's talking about way more than that. And he's represented for the city. He's mentioned a multitude of different places in the city, but that kind of relatability that we get from listening to his music. Western Road Flows is an ode to Toronto and all the different experiences that happen for us out here, not only him. It's not more. It's a little bit more than what you give it to be. And the thing is, I get it. You might not listen to this.
Educate me on these things, because what I'm talking about is when I listen to Nas, coming up, I got to understand what it's like living in New York, right? I got to understand what that's like because I got a good picture of what that was. When you talk about the 6, there are people who will never refer where they're living at in Toronto as the 6. What I'm hearing is the branding of Drake over the city. I want to know the rappers that are going to give me a unbiased, unpolished version of that, the same way that we ask artists out here to do that.
Real shit though. Yes, there are some people who won't identify with Toronto as being the 6, but there's hella people that do, man.
Okay,
you know
so
what I'm saying?
Like, does that mean that the other people
that means he's influential as hell?
No, I get that, but I'm saying, does that mean the other perspectives are not they shouldn't be represented?
They definitely should be represented, but there are a way smaller percentage than the people who rock with Drake.
When I'm gonna tell you this, if I go to Canada, I'd rather Friday show me around Canada and Toronto than Drake, because it's a very different experience. You get what I mean when I say that?
Yes, but that's a perspective thing, because I feel that you don't.
Okay.
And obviously, you have a bias. You're not really doing as much research or have as much knowledge of Drake and what's going on with him and the different people he has around him or had around him from when he was young, before even people started to see him on a more popular standpoint. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not trying to give Drake some hood validation, but I'm also not saying that he was always just some suburban kid that everybody paints him to be.
Then what was he, and why didn't he have the ability to express that in the music?
This music's not about that, man.
And that's the problem. This is
but
all
that's the problem for the people who want more out of their music. You know what I'm saying?
For the people who care about culture. And this is why the biggest disconnect exists with Not Like Us. There's a reason why you see videos from all different races, Nigerian weddings, why you see Native American women who are dancing to Not Like Us. They're not concerned about Canada. They're concerned about, this feels like a celebration of culture, and we want to be a part of this moment. There's a reason why white weathermen are adding the lyrics to their songs. Like, yeah, it'll get views, but at the same time, there are different cultures who see themselves in culture. Maybe not Kendrick Lamar's culture, but they see themselves as a collective of people with shared experiences, and not shared experiences that are not just about trauma, that are not just about criminality. Drake once got on here on one of these microphones and said, you know, my pops one time got stopped at the border and got hit up, you know, and that experience, man, it wasn't cool. And that's when I felt like, that's why the hood can relate to me, because I've had experiences like that. If you think that that's what the hood connects to, you are so disconnected from the hood that it's not even funny.
I gotta say respectfully, a lot of those people who are making those posts with the Not Like Us sound in the back, or the ones from the Super Bowl and stuff, they don't give a shit about culture, man. They're just trying to get a viral post on their TikTok or on their Instagram. When I see Becky, friggin' Jenny, and friggin' whoever together doing like some kind of line dance with the Kendrick Lamar in the back, they don't give a shit about culture. They especially don't give a shit about Black culture. They're just trying to get a viral post.
Do you think that there's a possibility that your disinterest in the cultural significance of a song like that could blind you to that they have a culture in line dancing as well?
I'm not talking about line dancing. I'm talking about just like some
and I acknowledge
bombs doing a TikTok video.
I get it. I get it. And I'm acknowledging that that is part of the decision making and making a video like that. But I also see community in what's happening. And it's not the white women saying, I understand the Black experience in Compton, California. No, it's them saying, hey, I have a us too. Line dancing people are the us. Native American women are saying, we're the us. Anybody who's ever felt like their culture, whatever the case may be, has been misrepresented, they feel like their voice has not been represented. I see a lot of those people. Do you think that every single one of them have nothing to be proud of? You think it's all, the only pride comes in the name of views and going viral? I just can't view the world like that, because I live too close to Los Angeles, where everything is so rich in culture. Everything is so rich in culture, from even the old English font, like having a significance to the LA Times and having that significance to Cholo and Chola culture. Like when you see people who are that prideful in what they represent, You understand pride when you see it in other people, because I have that in my culture.
Yes, I think that there are a percentage of people that when they're making a video with the Not Like Us in the background, they're thinking about culture. They're having a deeper thought about it. And then there's the bunch of people who are just like, this is just the hot sound of the minute. And if Drake had made a song or the sound that's the hot sound of the minute, they'd be dancing to that instead. They don't give a shit about anything but what is hot. And if it doesn't even have to be hip hop, it just needs to be the hot sound that's going to get them more traction on whatever social media platform they're using.
Could I ask you a very weird question that I hope is going to bring a little bit of understanding of what I'm getting at? In the heat of the police brutality, in the heat of everything that was happening in in the U.S. just some years ago, when, I don't want to get in a conversation about Black Lives Matter because I know that there's things that exist within that organization that are questionable. Mm-hmm. But can we acknowledge that there's a difference between a wife who loses her husband in the midst of police brutality and a stop going wrong, who says Black Lives Matter, versus Amazon, who blacks out their Twitter and says Black Lives Matter?
Definitely. There's a big difference.
So what I'm saying is there are people out here who absolutely care nothing about anything except for going viral in themselves. But that doesn't make me think that everybody is as shallow as them. There are people out here who are so close to the culture that they represent that they're finally happy there exists a song that allows them to bang for their culture. When I say bang, I don't mean gang bang. I mean just represent. Mm-hmm. Like the same way that you bang for Canada culture. And we want you to have that right to do that, right? Or where are you from specifically? I keep saying Canada. Where are you from specifically?
I'm here in Toronto. I've been here almost 30 years, but I'm originally from Montreal, but let's not get complicated. I'm a Toronto man. I'm a Toronto man.
All good. So my thing is this, I love this period we're in because I look at the nature of the conversations that are being had. I want to hear a rapper from Toronto bang for a side of Toronto that I never even knew existed, because maybe it's too much of a liability to a Drake who has some very, very expensive sponsors who think it might be too risky to associate himself with certain things. So what I'm saying is there exist artists right now I want to become fans of. But every time I hear about another artist, like for instance, what's old boy's name? I'm sorry, I can't remember his name, but there's a controversy about him doing his album, his music video in front of a monument, and he had an issue with Party Next.
Oh, John Rivers.
John Rivers is dope.
Yeah,
I just hate that I hate the nature of me getting to know him has to be through this avenue.
Check into Toby as well.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm more interested now because right now we're talking about nobody can deny the landscape is changing. It's a very different world. First of all, since 2020, it's a very different world since last year in terms of the emphasis on what's being focused on. The conversations that are even being had in mainstream media is very different, right?
Hold on a second, Curtis, because I got to address this one comment.
Sure.
You're down to earth. Mind yourself, eh? He says it's hard because those artists don't get promotion on platforms like We Love Hip Hop. One, run up, brethren. Two, okay, don't worry, Curtis, Toronto man stuff going on here, okay? Two, that's super cap. Because anybody that I mentioned to you, like I say, a Toby, if I mentioned to you like a Havaya Mighty, Dylan Ponders, and then we could get into the street stuff like guys like The Crook and Bizloke and A.W.O.L and all these different people. They're all on my platform. I interview these guys. I might not do news stories on them because they don't get in the news because they're not in drama, but I actually talk to them in person, bring them to my studio and books and schedule interviews. The difference is an interview like the K Money interview that I just dropped the other day is going to go crazy. The clip is at 20,000 views because he's in drama with Top 5 and, altercations have happened. But the other interview that I did with Dylan Ponders or Danny O, an old school classic rapper, is going to sit at like 600-700 views because nobody goes and peeps those. But I do them anyway. So you could shut the hell up, okay? Down to earth. Thank you. Sorry, I just had to make sure that it was said, man. Because
that's all good. I don't get in the middle. I don't get into international matters. That's none of my business.
No, but it's important though, because I have a plethora of interviews that are on the channel with artists that a lot of people need to know about.
Yeah.
But the ones that get the most views are the guys who are in the drama. But then there's a lot of talented people that are sitting there in the catalog that need them views too. So everybody needs to go check that shit out.
Yeah, and I think that's something that until you make content, and I say this for any artist, until you make content, I don't think you understand how challenging it is to run a successful business and not find a way to bring this in the midst of your conversation. I think you and I may have a different approach to it, Friday, respectfully. When it comes to the stories that I do, I got this from a rapper named Evidence, a legendary rapper named Evidence. He said, you got to learn how to put the vitamin in the brownie. You got to learn how to put the people want the brownie because it's sweet. The people want the brownie because that's what they came here for. They hungry, but you got to give them the vitamin and the brownie. So for me, what I'll do is I will have these videos that I know are going to do really, really big numbers. And then I'll bring these artists in, in the middle, like for a mid roll. Or for instance, Kendrick shouted out Maestro, Bad Luck, Glasses Malone, K-Boy, and Problem. I've had an interview this last week with Maestro that's doing much different numbers than it would have done last year, right? I did an interview with Bad Luck, but guess what these people got to find out? Because I let them come in here because it's the vitamin and the brownie. Okay, you guys you guys want to know why would Kendrick shout out somebody? Like, who is this? You get to know them, and then they stay for the next 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah.
Like, to me, for somebody that's a hometown boy that's proud, dog, this is a dream come true. So see, people can look at this and be like, oh man, this is West Coast bias. You fucking right. That's what we came up for. Like, we came up like this is where I laid my head at. This is where I was in the midst of a lot of dangerous situations. This is where my mama raised me at. This is the place I take so much pride in, to be able to use my platform. And I'm still an artist and a producer. To have these people that I highly respect and to have my people care about that is beautiful. But I'm with you. I platform them no matter what. I'll take views off. I don't give a fuck about nobody views. What's going to happen is that when you look at my legacy in media and what I did, you ain't never going to be able to bring that up and say I didn't platform the people that's really, really doing what they doing.
Yeah.
So, I salute you for making that. But at the same time, I think it shouldn't be just your responsibility. You don't have a movement unless everybody is moving
that way. So
if there's other media outlets that can platform it, I don't care if you don't have a bigger platform, dog, get these folks on, because it's going to be a day where those views double up and they get to the next place and they get to the next place. But it ain't going to happen if everybody is following what I think is kind of the academics route, in that it's we got to get you in here with the gossip. And I'm not throwing shots at you when I say this. We got to get you in the gossip and then hope you care about this. No, at some point you got to change the fucking culture. And that's what I'm doing right now with my YouTube, is that I've done producer content, as you talked about. I've done this. I'm finally getting to talk to my people, because I'm telling you right now, as a Black content creator, not even just an American Black, as a Black content creator, when they figured out that I wasn't Puerto Rican, right? Because I look Puerto Rican. When they figured out that I'm a Black content creator, I noticed no matter if I've worked with Kendrick, A.W.O.L, no matter if I worked with Glasses Malone, it didn't matter who I worked with, they always challenged my IQ before my credibility, before my authenticity, before the things that I've already accomplished. They question my IQ. That's to me, that's a level of embedded bias, racial bias that exists, because they generally think that Black people are not well spoken, and if they are, they're talking white. That's how some people look at it.
Or you speak so well.
You speak so well. What the fuck do you mean so well? So I'm looking at this and I'm like, all right, cool. I got a responsibility too, but it can't just be on like, shout out to Head and Effective immediately. Shout out to Homegrown Radio. Shout out to Glasses. Like, it can't just be on them. It's got to be on all of us. Yeah. If you don't like what's getting platform something different.
Yeah, that's a fact. That's a fact. Let me ask you a question on this Drake thing.
Sure.
Fast. Before the battle, were you ever a fan of Drake?
A fan? No.
Not a fan, but we're a listener.
Nothing was the same. Nothing was the same. And there was individual songs I liked. I liked Fear. I thought I was very vulnerable. very vulnerable version of him. I didn't like the Tupac line versus Jay-Z. I didn't cry when Tupac died, but I probably will when Jay-Z did. It was just so weird. And it's those things where it's like, okay, your brand of light skin is a little bit different from mine, but that's fine. We're also from two different regions. Nothing Was the Same was the first one that I felt like offered a balance for more like a more male demographic that wasn't just all of the moaning and singing and being all airy. That wasn't for me. Right. I wouldn't even put it on when I was like going out, like taking dates out. I wouldn't play it. It just wasn't my thing. But Nothing Was the Same was a good balance of the rap shit, you know, paying homage through the Wu-Tang forever, like the Worst Behavior. And then I just feel like when that Meek Mill situation happened, because I'm somebody that cares about hip hop first, the moment we start talking about you're not writing your shit, you out of my book. I can't have a legitimate conversation about you and rap. The moment I find out that me as somebody who raps, first of all, who's rapped with the best of them. I got songs with Kendrick. I got songs with A.W.O.L. I got songs with the best of them. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. As somebody who's done that and produced for the Royce da 5'9" and all of this, I got a different level of respect for this craft because I know how long it takes. Get your business, do your thing. But as soon as I saw that, I said, nah, I can't have you in these conversations. Now I got to look at you as a successful pop act, which is why I wasn't excited about the battle between him and Kendrick. If anything, it was just like, okay, I guess we're there.
So
wait, can I approach this really quick? Curtis and the West Coast is a dying culture.
Hold on, where's that comment?
Please highlight that Tank. It's always the people with no profile pictures. You got a car as your profile picture in the rain. You're talking real big from an account that you won't show your face. I bet your bathroom and I bet your bathroom dirty as hell right now. And I bet your bedroom smell like nachos and dirty fries. Anyways, you can't say West Coast culture is a dying culture when it hasn't even been brought to the forefront for a conversation for longer than 6 to 8 months. You saying this as a stranger only shows me that you wouldn't say this about things that are weak. You wouldn't go around saying, man, ant culture is dying, because ants are harmless. The reason why you can say that and get a reaction is because we got motion, and we haven't even got multiple artists that are up on the charts yet. It's just now bubbling. AZ Chike just got signed by Warner Brothers, right? It can't just be Kendrick. It's for a movement. Everybody got to be moving.
Yeah.
You're saying that only when you see something that's dangerous. Nobody talks about something that's harmless and calls it harmless. It's a waste of your energy.
I do think it comes from a place, though, because of this Kendrick Lamar battle and Drake battle, that the spotlight got put back on the West Coast. There was a space of time that, just Atlanta had just shit in a chokehold. They weren't letting go. New York had a little minute, like a resurgence with the New York drill, but then everybody died and went to jail, and then that just went away. Right? So,
and the thing is, here's what I want people to understand. I don't have to like the music you make. I don't have to like the music you like, but I will fight for your ability to make it. Because I'm pro artist first. Been an artist for now 20 years. I will fight for your ability to make your bullshit if I look at it as bullshit. Because all I want is the same balance that once existed when you saw N.W.O.L go on the same tour with Fresh Prince. How does that even possible? You don't see that today.
That's wishful thinking. That's never happening again.
This is what I'm saying. Because I've seen it happen. All I'm saying is not them going on tour. I don't care about, I want to see, this artist. And I'm not talking about that. Like, take the specifics out of it. What I'm saying is there was a time where you can get a De La Soul on the radio at the same time as an artist. Is the complete difference, right? Yeah. So what I'm saying is we have the opportunity to do that because the internet is a different beast. You got an artist right now who's going viral on Instagram, and I forget his name. Please excuse me, I forget your name. He's going viral because he's a gas station attendant who raps. And people are saying, you know what? I've heard a lot of the same rap stories for years. I wonder what a gas station attendant has to rap about. Because it's authentic.
Yeah.
He may represent us out there that are other people that are gas station attendants. Now, instead of looking at him and making all of these racist jokes about, now you might look at him as the multifaceted individual he deserves to be represented as. And I'm sorry, like a lot of people want the man's name is Dom Kennedy, not Don Kennedy. Dirty. Jesus. Can't win for losing. Oh man. Dom Kennedy, not Don. Like Don Knotts. We're in a time now. Yeah, that's your boy, man. We're in a time now where we just want the balance, bro. Like parents just don't understand. Comes around the same time as F the police. Like we need to have that exist. This is where hip hop is at its best. But until we can get to that place, like we're gonna have such a one-sided point of view that it's going to resort to these childish back and forth conversations between media outlets. But I think that there's a world that a very different Drake can exist and do what he does, but he has to readjust. He must readjust. He must understand that the audience that he made fans of him, there's a segment of them that grew up, first of all. And there's also a segment of them that are now looking at society in a much different way, which is why I think it's the stupidest shit in the world for people to go to old tweets and try to make society look at it from a modern lens. To me, it's like picking up a Game Boy and saying, why doesn't this stupid thing have Wi-Fi? Because there's been developments in society. Society has evolved. The idea of a good person versus a bad person has shifted. There's somebody right now that's working a job at Starbucks that's got hella tats on them. You couldn't have seen that 10 years ago because they look at that person as a bad person. Face tats, whatever. Like society changes. Their perception changes. We have to leave that open to have that conversation. So I love where everything is going. I love where everything is going.
Do you think we can get a round two? Or actually, let me rephrase that question. Nah. Do you want to see a round two?
No, absolutely not. And I think that goes against the brand of Kendrick. He never does the same thing twice. Like I think at this point, who benefits in a round two? What new are we going to learn this next round that we didn't learn before? At this point, you're not going to see that. I think if anything, round two got cut the moment that a lawsuit came up. I can't. How can I have a legitimate battle with you if I know that that's not off the table? And I know it wasn't a lawsuit towards me, but you tried to sue your job and then show up with an album called Sexy Songs for You. You tried to show up to work the next day. Shout out to Prince Angeles. You tried to show up to work the next day and sit in your cubicle like everything's gonna be all right. Yeah, like what are you doing here, Drake? Oh, just a lawsuit. You can't do that. So now, what I hope doesn't happen is I hope this doesn't change the nature of battling in mainstream rap, because that would be unfortunate. And I think that would look so bad on the reputation because it's such a selfish decision. He called you something that you thought was really, really heinous, something that you think is a lie. You're guilty of the same thing. I'm sorry. You're guilty of the same thing on paper. You called him an abuser, a domestic abuser. You said that his partner made children with his fiance.
Yeah.
You're guilty of the same thing, even though it's not the same details. If you go and you win this lawsuit, that's a loss for mainstream rap, all because your ego got hurt. When at the same time, you were talking about Meek Mill and how he's not the man of his relationship. Is that your girl's tour or the world tour? You can say whatever you want about everybody else. You can go on an OVO stage and pull up all these embarrassing tweets when you win. But when somebody else wins, no, this has got to be a sham. It's got to be a lie. Nah, dog, nobody bigger than the program. Not even me, not nobody. Anybody can get it. And this is what we signed up for. Friday, this is what we signed up for. When we said, I want to go represent hip hop from where I'm from, there's risks that come with it. When you decide that you want to talk about certain people in your industry, you might see them in real life and have to have that conversation.
Mm-hmm.
It just happened to me when I went to an event, a will.i.am event out here in LA. Like, that's the nature of it. I'm prepared for that. But some people don't ever drag their knuckles out of their room. Some people cause utter chaos on a 4K camera and never go get to see people. That's not me. I got to get back out here because, first of all, I love the people and I want to be around the people, but I don't think everybody is designed the same way. They're not like us.
Hey, man. It's kind of crazy when it comes to this lawsuit because he has retracted a part of it, the iHeart part of the Payola part,
right?
But the defamation part still stands as far as the defamation suit towards UMG. Can we unpack that for a second?
Why not include Meet the Grams?
I don't know. That's a whole other thing.
Genuine question, because it feels a little bit more defamatory than anything else.
We're not lawyers, remember, and also Meet the Grams didn't have as much impact as Not Like Us. But let me ask you, as far as Not Like Us, let's say he was to win said lawsuit with the defamation. Do you think people are going to start rapping different as far as, or we're just not even going to engage in beef anymore?
I think that labels will instruct the artists that are their employees to act differently, to move differently. But I also think that, and I don't wish this upon anybody, and I don't care how much of a difference that I have with the ideology and the things that Drake represents. I said it, and you can go check my first video on this battle. I said a win for me is for both of these gentlemen to return back home safely and provide for their families and their employees. That's a win to me. Yeah. Get your raps off and get back to it. All of this other silly shit, we don't need it. There's no way in hell in 2025 we should see a repeat of a Biggie versus Pac. That's not a win to me. That's stupid, especially when it could be just a friendly fade. I said that from the beginning. But what I'm telling you, if he wins that case, whatever hell that he is going through right now will be minor in consideration to what UMG. If you beat UMG publicly, you put a press release out, you didn't even do this privately, you make a whole show of this, TMZ's reporting on it, your life is going to be an utter hell. And you're going to be forced to be independent, and they're going to make sure, and this is all allegedly, they're going to make sure that you will never be able to move smoothly because they got a hand in everything. The one thing I don't think he's understanding is UMG's been buying up everything. UMG bought up Believe, which owns TuneCore. So that means that even independent artists that see themselves as independent will still be getting money over to UMG because they now own TuneCore, or is it CD Baby? I think it might be TuneCore or CD Baby. I can't remember which one it is. Like, we're in a different world now. You don't beat them and think you can walk away from that. Everybody who's challenged them has had issues after. They could never move the same way. I'm not asking for that to happen, but I'm also not the person that put a lawsuit out. You play games with these big boys, they're going to show you why they've been in power for longer than generations of artists have even existed.
I think I'm going to add on to what you said right there. I think it's already too late. You don't even have to win. Just the fact that you publicly did that and you try to show our ass
after you benefited off of us for 15 years.
Yeah, win or lose, they're still going to try to spank him from the record company standpoint. But from the audience standpoint, do you think that will socially do something bad to Drake if he won that lawsuit?
I think there's a segment that's already made a decision about Drake long time ago. But I think there's another segment that probably were on the fence that are going to look at this from a very different lens. The fact that they tried to turn this into he's trying to go to town for the independent artists, and he's trying to stop it. Please stop the revolutionary talk. That is not what's happening. This is the protection of a man's ego. This is the protection of embarrassment and things that are happening. I think the people who have made a decision have made a decision, first of all. Second of all, with him, I don't think he has the perspective around him that would help him understand if he would have took 6 to 8 months off and gave his fans time to miss him instead of all of this silly behavior, going to basketball games and, the situations with Top 5 that I felt like even he's coming out of a situation. It's like, dog, there's certain things that just don't need to be news right now. Give the people time to miss you. Like the 100 gigs for your head top felt like I need to remind them why they love me. And it's like, you ain't got to do that if you're you. If you're the person that they say that you are, you're the boy, just go quiet.
Yeah.
Between the issue, because every time you keep jumping, you know what I compare it to? When you watch one of them videos on YouTube where somebody is slipping on ice and they're trying to keep their balance and they keep slipping and they keep slipping. You know it's only a matter of time before they fall, but it looks worse because you're trying to stop the fall. Take your L, get your basketball, go home, plan, plot, and then reemerge and remind people why the fuck you are who you say you are. But it's hard to do that when you keep showing up and leave yourself open to embarrassment after embarrassment. Even when he wins Friday, I thought about this. Even when his album does well with Party Next Door, that's terrible for his case.
Tell me
because
why.
Now you're showing, wait a minute, you're selling just as good as you ever sold after this situation. What case do you have to stand on? The moment I saw Lucian Grange and Dr. Dre high-fiving, I said they have no fear at all about losing this case.
You saw it from that perspective? And we're gonna stay on the case, but you saw that from that perspective. I saw it the other way around, like our plans working, the destruction of Drake.
No, my thing is these folks are, we think Kendrick is so calculated. No, Jimmy Iovine's and the Dre's, and they have been around each other for a long time, right? They're very calculated. We can't show public displays of joy about this because it's only going to help his case. When I seen a high five and they look for each other, Dre said, "Oh," I said, "Case closed." Something happened. Right. I looked at that and I said, "Oh, that's case closed." Because you wouldn't do that if you felt like there was a legitimate case that they could show, like the payola and all of this stuff. The thing about it is this, and this is the way I read it when the lawsuit first happened. How do you know that the treatment is unfair unless you yourself have been engaged in some of this unfair treatment? When you look at the specifics of some of the paperwork, it talks about certain people that were pro-Drake weren't around anymore. Those people who were pro-Drake, what was their responsibility? And why were they there if they were pro an artist and not the pro the label, right? Like, these are things that I look at and I'm like, do you understand that while you're telling on UMG, you're telling on yourself? Oh, it's the discovery mode. Wait, discovery mode is something that you've been able to take advantage of. Matter of fact, on Spotify, 2017, there were people that complained, users that complained, they were sick of seeing Drake's face on alternative rock playlists.
Yeah, for views.
So, like, you've enjoyed the benefits of being the golden child. And the moment that somebody else seems to be getting more prioritized because they have a song that's taking off, because these companies are not loyal to you, they're loyal to a dollar. Now you want to put out a petition for a lawsuit?
Yeah,
that's wild. That's what, like, I don't care what side you're on about this. My thing is just like, we don't do that. I'm not finna hit you with no lawsuit, bro. Like, and if I do, it's after some careful thinking that this is the last route that I have to go.
Listen, I got to be honest when it comes to this lawsuit. I'm just hoping that there's something that, later on we get to find out that there's some noble reason that we just never seen. And then he finally explains once the smoke clears.
Right.
I don't see it. You know what I'm saying? Because I just don't. I'm not feeling it neither. But I'm as a supporter of Drake, as somebody who fucks with Drake. You know what I'm saying? I just don't want to be like, yo, bro, what are you doing? But in my mind, or like I've said publicly, what are you doing? However, right now he did take away he did retract the other part of the suit, the one versus iHeart for Payola. Why do you think that happened? And they settled out, or they decided amicably to not pursue that lawsuit.
Because Payola exists.
Yeah, well, yeah, for sure.
and it doesn't just exist for the scenario that they're trying to focus on. It exists for everybody who plays this game.
Yes.
Do you really want court documents pulling through all of this paperwork? Like, to me, someone said it, this is classic narcissist. I was able to enjoy the benefits of being the golden child when it was my time. Now that the tables have turned, let's change the whole thing. Let's get revolutionary. No, that's not revolutionary. That's like joining in white supremacy and then saying we need to take down this regime after I'm rich. No, you can't do that. Like, it's either a problem when it's a problem or it's not a problem. And it just feels like the timing it's just weird, bro. Like, putting out 100 gigs for your head top and having videos of married women that you're acting cozy to, like Rihanna and Serena. It's weird. At the very bare minimum, it's weird, especially after this battle. because you're now doing the thing that you got described about in Meet the Grams. Then you go and turn around and it's so much. I gotta look at my own content because this people say, they're like, why do you do so much Drake content if you don't like them? Because this is our responsibility to tell stories to the future. There's gonna be one day, Friday, in 2052, a rapper named YN.exe is going to be like, I had a better run this year than Kendrick had in 2024. I'm bigger than Drake ever was.
It's a trillion albums.
It's our responsibility to make sure that we give every painstaking detail about who's relevant, who's at the top. Yeah. And Drake has been at the top. So I see it as my duty. I have it on my board. You are telling stories to the future because they're going to reference us. So there it is.
You know, not circling back to the old conversation, but just as a little reference with DJ Head and I with the Too Short test, which I thought was a little bro test, but it wasn't. I'm going to give you the big bro test so we can teach the audience.
Okay.
How much does it cost to make a hit song for real in the music industry? We all kind of know this number that floats around publicly or behind the scenes, but give them that number.
I've been so detached. The last time I heard this number was in the midst of a lot of powerful people, and the number I heard had to be between 50 and 100,000. I can't remember the exact number, but they told me just to get it some action on regional, urban, rhythmic radio. They were saying just to get in the door, it was something absolutely ridiculous. I don't remember the exact number.
No. There's some people in our audience, and this is why I love the Comment Gang Strong. They hit that number right on the face, yo. 250K is that number that's been quoted. I've heard it from multiple places. I've heard it behind the scenes told to me. I've heard it on podcasts, and when I heard it on a podcast, I was like, oh, that's the same number I heard behind the scenes.
Yeah. Well, I've heard that number get flipped because it depends on who's your middleman. Some people share the same middleman. So when they talk about walking these records in yourself to these places, it's a different price than when you got to go to that middleman that's going to promise you Billboard, that's going to promise you. I think that number is the number when somebody is doing an advertisement unofficially through other people. You really want to keep it funky. I just don't want to put nobody business out there.
Yeah, and listen, I'll rat. It comes in the form of not just paying the DJs. That's old school shit.
That's old school.
Right? You know, it's impressions, getting people to vote for, you know, if they're still calling in and doing votes, they're doing that. You can pay a bunch of people $150 to do that all day. You can put it in the form of people just going on social media and acting like this is the biggest shit in the world and just multiple accounts doing the same thing. There's multiple ways of siphoning out that 250K so that you got a hit song these days.
Right. And also we have to acknowledge that radio is not the same machine that it once was either.
Yes.
Or the same priority for certain artists, right? There's a certain level of authority that comes along with having your radio be in this collection. But there are other people like shout out to LaRussell again, who have been very, very open about if you got $250,000, you better not be trying to push that. He like, do you know how much content I can get done? Do you know how many songs, you know how many ads I can put up for a song that's already working for me and run the numbers up where I don't have to cut nobody in because they told me yes to my 250? Yeah. The thing about it is that 250 is not as scarce as we think it is. It's a lot of people walking in there with $250,000, and they also walking in there with some trash ass artists who never get heard. Like that's not available to everybody. Some of these people you can't even get to until you've already been vetted by the proper people. So it's like nowadays it's just a different way to go about it. If you're gonna flip a profit in music now, like Drake made a good decision to sell CDs because I think someone told him, or he knows the writing is on the wall. We're in a direct to consumer era.
Yep.
If you're still trying to flip streaming into some money and they're paying you 0.03 and you're not even getting that because you're breaking a pie system in which however many streams you get total, that's your percentage of the pie. You know, you splitting about a 500 million that you're having available to you to do that in a pie system. That's not enough to make a legitimate career off of, especially if you're doing the things that get you in front of billions of people.
Yeah.
Because that's an expensive lifestyle. That's an expensive campaign. You know how this is. So that's why I'm a big supporter of independence, a big supporter of DIYers. It's a different world, man. So for years, bro, I've been talking about Spotify and the issues with their payouts. That's why when I saw the lawsuit, people were like, look, he's on the same thing as you. No, he is not. This if Not Like Us doesn't take off, this don't happen. If Not Like Us was the same song and it did not catch fire, he wouldn't care about no lawsuit. He'd be like, Heart Part 6 would have been like, you tried to get me with a club banger, but you didn't. Now I'm going to have to go on for the killing. Like, it would have been a different situation. It's just the embarrassment. And I really hope, I don't know these folks, I really hope 50 Cent ain't got nothing to do with that, because it's a lot of folks around that have connections to him that have been moving very differently.
Yeah, it's kind of wild, man. You know, just to wrap up our conversation, because we over here cooking, man, and I'm glad that we had this conversation here, man. I found it necessary because when when I get into my rants and stuff like that, and sometimes I'm wrong. I'm okay with being wrong, and I've said this multiple times. I'd rather speak to the people who've made content on it or who've had issues on it. I would like to have a conversation with DJ Head in the future about this as well. So, you know, it's just important, you know what I'm saying, rather than run from this type of shit. But you did mention something during what you were just saying earlier, the DIYers. Can we talk about them for a moment? How you came to that concept of naming your audience of DIYers and what that is to you?
Yeah, and just to clarify, man, shout out to DJ Head. I hit him up before I went on this interview because code, when there's a code, as men, I need him to understand. I'm not just popping up on your platform after you said what you said, and then I'm like, yeah, everything's cool. Like, no, I needed him to know this is what's going on, because just amongst friends, you know, there's a bro code, there's a man code, all that. I want to clarify that. So,
that's respectful.
DIY coming up, I taught myself how to produce my music, how to write my music, because there's not a school for rapping. You got to we all teach ourselves. I taught myself how to video edit, how to shoot my own videos, how to work a DSLR camera. Like, I taught myself how to create my own sound effects, like anything that I need, graphic design, printing my CDs in the very beginning. I was a do-it-yourselfer from the very, very beginning, because the truth of the matter is, in the beginning, you're not good enough for people to want to help you, even if you got the money.
Yeah.
So I had to figure it out. And I don't say have to. I said I got to figure it out. And because of my DIY nature, it led to some dude one day named A.W.O.L coming to my grandmother's patio to rap. And I recorded him in my grandmother's patio over a beat that I made on FL Studio. Wow. And recorded what I felt like was going to be what sounded like to me like a young Jay-Z on Reasonable Doubt. And I said, I can't believe I'm recording this dude. And it's before he became anybody that we know him to be. Right. I also designed his first MySpace page.
Wow.
Because I'm a DIYer. Also, in that same time period.
You probably knew how to do the codes and everything.
You know, the little matrix code and all of that crazy stuff. I knew how to do all of that because I'm a DIYer. I'm a self-sufficient. Like, that's why when people try to talk to me about some of this stuff and they try to call me out, I'm like, bro, you ain't never did none of this. Shut up. If you ain't ever tried to if you don't got a profile picture, please shut up. Second, so, okay, I'll give you another example. I'm in a room with A.W.O.L, Dave Free, Mixed by Ali, and Soundwave, and they're talking about, like, man, when is your boy gonna be done with your artwork for your project? He had a project called Long Term 2. This is A.W.O.L. He said, man, when he gonna be done? He like, man, he been lagging it, bro. I write about it in my book. I said, say something. And I said, I make artwork. What other rappers, what other content, whatever you would think I am, how many of them do you know had the opportunity to design the artwork for Long Term 2 and produce the title track for it as well?
Yeah.
So, like, when I say DIYers, there's a lot of us that are out here that are not complaining, right? We're not looking for somebody to hold our hand. Nobody's coming to save us. We're do-it-yourselfers. We get up, pull ourselves up by our bootstraps, and we make it happen. And now, because of that, JD who says you brokey with a lion profile picture, I'm able to provide for my family in over 4,000 square foot. My family is well fed. We're doing so well. because of the work that I can do. Now I have the ability to work on music anytime that I want, and I have access to anybody you could think of to work on music. I am blessed. My cup runneth over. Now my goal is to retire my mother this year. So please, please, when you see this DIY culture, don't play with it. It's nothing to be played with. We do this because we had to. Now we do this because we get the opportunity to. I'm a creative first. I'm a creative. I just love being creative. And no matter how up I am, I stay creative. So yeah, that's what that I appreciate you asking that, because I know we probably would have never got to that had you not asked that, but that's what we are. Like I have a tribe full of DIYers who are like, we're learning from these artists that are on the big stage, but we're looking at this and we're like, oh, like we really get to it. And this is fun to get to it.
Yeah. Listen, you put a name on it, right? I feel like I'm maybe unofficially, because you know we're building over here, but I'm a DIYer too, man. Like, okay, I record myself, I edit the shit, I handle the social media, and I think it's important to be able to do all of the roles, because even when you start delegating stuff, then you already know how to do the stuff that you're delegating.
It's a very different conversation, right? Yes. When you're talking to a graphic designer and you tell them the opacity on that is off.
Yes.
Like, like 98, or we at 70. No, we need to go down to like 30. You know what that means. When you can tell a video director that cut that LUT that you're using, it's a little bit too harsh on a saturation. Pull that back. Like these are things that I talk about. You know what I'm saying? They be like, and the thing is, you end up saving a lot more money that you actually make, because some of these people are out here just trying to run a lick on you. So DIY to me is where things are going, man. Like to me, like that's where the La Russell started. But then, you know, it's crazy. I went out to the Bay to go interview La Russell at the Pergola. And then I saw the team that he had around him in terms of people that he came up with, his friends that just believed in what he's doing. They're the ones holding the camera. And I said, oh, that's the next level of this, is that when I put myself in a position to financially delegate, I'm gonna do everything I can until it's not enough anymore, right? I can't. Now I'm at a place where it's like, dog, I've seen him do it. I've seen him sell out a show in San Diego, and then before the show start, go shake the hand of every single person in that audience that came to see him, sold out, and then get on a plane and go right back to business and go record another project. In this room right here that I do all of this content, I record my music, I mix and master it. And then I go to a website like Kanaki and I make my vinyls and I make my CDs. I can perform downstairs Friday. I had a show where I sold $400 worth of tickets to a show in my living room.
That's crazy.
So I got an extra living room down here that I now build into a stage. My wife has a room. She has a press-on nail business. She's an entrepreneur as well. So it's like, that's the difference, is that like, dog, like I am still the kid that came up as a DIYer that was like, all right, cool. Give me the opportunity. I'm going to make the most out of it. And that's all it is. So I salute you as a DIYer. Let me figure out as a DIYer, you like us. You just like us. Let me figure it out. That's funny.
Yeah, man. It's listen, and you know, I have one more question for you, but just the last thing on that DIY stuff. I always love when I invite an artist to my studio or anybody to the studio to do an interview, and they walk in and they're just like, "It's just you." They're expecting to see cameraman and all that from what they see on camera. No, it's just me. I got the camera flipped, so I can see the monitor, so I can see us. I can see that we're in frame. I can see the record that's still running. My mixer's right next to me, so I can see exactly how much time that we got on the interview. And then I'm gonna take them chips and I'm gonna go home and chop that bitch up myself.
That's what we get to do. I got a keyboard in front of me because it's the same place I make music. It's not going nowhere. I need you to be reminded when we talking about these things, we're not talking as a person that's like, I think this is what's going on. No, I was there. Shout out to Bad Luck. He goes by Good Luck now. He said, Curtis, I know you catching a lot of hell from people who have no idea of your resume. Don't forget all them TDE rooms, all them studio sessions, all of those events. I done had shows where Glasses and came out, for a song that I had with Hit Boy. I have songs with Glasses and Hit Boy. Like I got songs with Kendrick, got a song with songs with A.W.O.L. I talked to A.W.O.L yesterday on the phone. So it's like you were there. They can't never take that away from you. You were there. And if you have that confidence on you, you realize that separates you from a lot of people. And moving forward, you want to know why I have so much confidence in what I'm doing? Because it's like, dog, like I've been in these rooms. I know these people, bro. They know me. I seen I seen Kendrick on one of my first dates with my wife.
Wow.
Pulled up and he like, look at my wife. He said, "You doing good for yourself, Curtis." I said, "Thank you, Mr. Lamar. I appreciate that. You're obviously doing well." So like, dog, it's so different than what I think people live in their parasocial relationships online. Dog, when you get into real life, it gets real. Please don't try to like being online chronically is going to lead to a chronic mental illness. Be careful.
Yeah, that's a fact. That's a fact. The one last thing I want to ask you about, and you mentioned it earlier, is your book, 100 Viral Video Ideas.
Oh, that's a different one. That's my second book, I guess. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I got an official book that's if you go to musicproducerbook.com, it's on Amazon. It is my book that explains how I went from making music in that patio, how I met TDE, all the way to creating a 6-figure business with selling my beats online. And it takes you up to those years, and then how I got to YouTube and all of that stuff. But the book you're talking about is an ebook for independent artists, because I'm still teaching independent artists how to make 100 pieces of content from a 10-song album. The problem with a lot of rappers is that they feel like if they're not beefing, they don't know what content to make. I've been making content since before like really content had the name it has. Before anybody was called a content creator, I had the little the little push button camera right before they was on the phones or whatever. So what I did is I made 100 different pieces of content as examples with clickable pictures that take you straight to the video and show you how well they did.
Sick.
It tells you like the sauce and the DNA of why they worked. It's only $10. It's $10. It's on curtisking.com. So is my other book, The Prosperous Hip Hop Producer. So I'm looking at so many people in here and I'm like, you ain't wrote nothing but a chat message. Shut up. I got books, boy. Shut up. Sit your ass down somewhere. You ain't never wrote nothing but some Kendrick hate speech. Sit down. Sat down. Hold on. I don't got the button there. I'll pull the button up. Hold on. I got you one time. Hold on.
Tell the truth. Somebody.
Hold on.
Man, sit your dumb ass down.
That's all I gotta say about that. Stop playing. Stop playing with me. I'm really Himothy. Stop it.
I'm gonna have to speak to you behind the scenes and get some tips on how to do some of this, because I'm always learning from other content creators on how to up my business and up my technical game. So we got to talk behind the scenes, man.
As long as you promise me not to switch up on me, man. Like I really pray that after this conversation, somebody don't hit you up and be like, man, I don't like the way he was. Because somebody said it earlier. They already trying to push narratives. Man, the fact that he thinks that Drake represents all Canadian black culture. This is why I can't stand Americans. I never said that. And I hope that you understand the conversation I'm having with you is the same conversation I would have with anybody behind closed doors about you. So as long as it ain't no, as long as you don't pull the Joker card on me or the reverse Uno, I would love to give this information, but I also understand too, like the same way you have worked your way to be who Friday is. You're not about to get that information to anybody. You got your vetting process. But once you in, I'ma always share. Always share. Because that's just the nature of what I do. But I that can be your own downfall sometimes, is sharing too damn much.
Yeah.
But I'm here, bro. I'm here.
Don't worry, there's no incoming rant on my Wednesday live.
Please don't, man. Please, bro.
This guy Curtis, I can't believe him.
Yeah, like don't let I'm not saying that you're not. I mean, you are somebody who's been in this game for a long time, and you have the access you have, and that's not by accident. No matter what anybody says, you have the access you have, and that's not by accident. I understand that, but with that comes a responsibility, and it's a responsibility most people don't know what to do with.
Yeah.
So when I'm seeing all these, I don't even call them OGs no more. When I see some of these older YNs, these old YNs that are glitching out, like I'm looking at that and I'm just observing, and I'm like, all right, cool to know, because I'm not about to partake in that, bro. Easiest person to get along with. I'm gonna always share information. I am much more beneficial as an ally than as a fake internet enemy.
Yeah. Last thing, that's last question.
All good.
Which audience is more toxic? The Kendrick audience, the Kendrick fans, or what they call the K-Barbs, or the Drake fans, aka the OV hoes?
You know what's so funny about that
question?
And
the reason I'm asking you that, because I got attacked by both over the last week.
You know what's so funny about that question? And this is where I was like, is Friday just trying to be Vince McMahon? Because in the same 24 hours that you said Not Like Us is the most divisive song, you put up the most divisive Twitter bot or Twitter poll. You can't put that out there. You know exactly what that's finna do. I mean, you can because you got it right, but that is the most divisive Twitter poll ever. How about this? People are toxic. People are toxic. People are toxic, especially obsessive people are toxic.
Chronically online.
It ain't like my thing is this. What I need to be understood is that if at any point I see something under the light that looks bad on Kendrick, it is my responsibility to talk about it in media. The same way with the TDE situation. But before I could even do a story, that started falling apart in terms of the evidence people were presenting and some of the people that were connected to it who happened to be part of that OVO fan base. All I say is this. I have seen so many fake tweets pop up in the last week. I have seen so many people do some really toxic and terrible things, and it's not just one side. All I'm gonna say is this, dog, like keep that toxic shit away from me. Because I got an ancestral energy that's around me. I got people praying for me, my mama praying for me. I don't go seeking out people to have issues with. But anytime I express how much joy a song brings me, and it just so happens to be something by Kendrick, I get attacked. So I don't think either one is more toxic. I just think the toxicity differs upon who's behind these avatars. And I've noticed that people who have no faces tend to talk a little bit bolder. So people are toxic at the end of the day.
Oh man, good answer, man.
You want me to divide more? That's the narrative. You can't do that. That's the clip. That's the clip. They take that clip and be like, there you go.
Gold, Jerry, gold.
Hell no. People are toxic, bro, and it exists everywhere.
Listen, man, I appreciate the conversation and the insight that you brought to us over here today, Curtis. And I'm glad that we're able to resolve some of the things that, you know, with my the way I could be divisive sometimes.
Well, at least you admit it, man. That's huge. Because even when I went to your page, I saw issues with folks from the region that I wish I had no knowledge of. Like I don't want to see no rapper get packed out nowhere, especially not at a game where that's an event, right? But I seen that, and then I seen this, and I know that's the nature of reporting what's going on, and it does get the views, and I get that. But there's even a part of me sometimes that still looks up and I say, I'm not doing 3 back-to-back Drake stories.
Yeah.
I'm waiting. I'm gonna just wait like another week and just collect all of these. And then let's do a story. But like, dog, there's so much I want to talk about, even like with Snoop. I know people are not happy with him, but Snoop said F Spotify. That's a story. That's part of a DIY story. So there it is.
Yeah. There's always different approaches on how we get to where we're going. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's all good in the end of the day. Listen, man, I think we can end it there. Thank you so much for popping up, man, and having a conversation with us over here and doing it on the platform. And you know, we'll probably link up again soon in the future, whether it's on a Culture United or, you know, behind the scenes or over here again, man.
Right. Well, you know, I do appreciate you sharing your platform because you don't have to do that. You know, I'm very protective of my platform, and I'm sure that you are as well. I salute you for like you said, taking those and not even L's. To me, those are cultural investments where you're highlighting artists from the area that deserve that notoriety, that deserve that look. And it can only be a look if you've built something powerful enough to be a look. So I salute you on that. Shout out my dog DJ Head, because that straight shooter, he you know, you have a conversation with him there, like I'm saying, like that's one thing they gonna never say about us. Like if we say it, we stand on that.
Yeah.
I do appreciate you having a conversation and reaching across the bro. Shout out to my guy Justin, who did encourage me to come on here. Because after what you did at first, I was like, I'm not gonna go over there talk. I was like, I don't know where that's coming from, but I salute you. It takes grown men to do that conversation. So salute, bro.
Salute. We'll tap in soon, brother.
Okay, sounds good.
Peace.
Peace.
Salute to Curtis King, man. Great conversation. I'm glad that we got to hash things out. Everybody who's been tapped in from the beginning of this all the way to the end of this, salute to all of y'all. Make sure to hit that like button on the way out so that we can run this crazy up in the algorithm. And thank you, man. Sunday evening-ish. We'll be back on Wednesday for the regular scheduled programs, all right? We offer this. Deuces.